Hello there, all you wonderful, beautiful ladies and gentlemen of the internet. It's I, your host, once again, Hazuki Warrior 921, bringing you today a very special and important video. And that is none other than my very own personal story of how I got into the Dragon Ball franchise. You see before you right here. Yeah, I got a post for the thumbnail. But yes, folks, this is my story of how I, personally, once again discovered the Dragon Ball franchise. So, with the passing of the legendary, beloved Akira Toriyama, I only thought that this video would be right. You know, to talk about my personal journey and how I love the series today, and how it vastly impacted me as a person. Strongly impacted me as a person. And I'm going to try to make this video watchable to those who are both mostly for people who are very familiar with the franchise, because I'm going to reference things probably, and Dragon Ball to me is like second nature. I know it like the back of my hand, so I talk about it like everyone in the world is expected to know it. However, if you're new to it, I'll do my best to make this understandable to you. But when I got introduced to the franchise, a lot of people talked about Dragon Ball the same way I'm going to probably talk about it in this video, how I talk about it now. So it's a very common thing when it comes to Dragon Ball, is that most people talk about it like it's second nature. Like you should know it. Like it's like the Star Wars trilogy. Like we talk about it like you should know it, because it's so iconic and big. It's like we expect most people to understand it. So yeah, it's like a second language to me. It's like second nature to me. Like I'm just going. It's like a sixth sense to me. Like I'm just going to talk about it like it's no brainer. So apologies for that in advance. But if you're new to the franchise and you want to avoid spoilers as much as possible, which I don't even know is possible. That's like trying to avoid spoilers for Star Wars. That's like impossible. Or something, or you just feel like alienated, or like, I should check the series out. Then that's okay to click away from the video. But if you don't click away from the video, if you keep watching, I think you're going to understand how simple and easy it is to get into this franchise to be talking about, because that's also something else I understood from fans talking about it, that even if I may have discovered spoilers and stuff like that before I really got into it, it never felt too out of place, because it just made sense in the series or the story would go in this kind of direction. Again, much similar to the likes of Star Wars, or even like One Piece. Like just discovering later spoilers, it just made sense to like what connects with the overall story. So, but I'm gonna talk about like how I got into it, how I got to the anime, how I got into other like, you know, parody series, the manga, you know, Kai, different versions of home releases of Dragon Ball, which is going to be a big part of this video, and other things too. And yeah, so I guess I should start at the very beginning in the year 2006 or something. No, well, I was gonna say 2008 is when I really got into it, but let's go back before that, when I was a child, from my earliest exposures of the Dragon Ball franchise. Here we go. Well, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I guess I should start at the very beginning of my life of how I first got exposed to Dragon Ball, and I wasn't into it at a very early age. I didn't get into Dragon Ball until I turned 14 years old, almost half my life ago, but that's another story for later. Let's rewind the clock back to when I was about 4, 5, or maybe 6, maybe 7. I think I was like 4 or 5. The year must have been 1998 or 2000. In between that time, I knew a little bit about Dragon Ball Z because of commercials on TV, like for Burger King, like when they did the toy ad. Plus, I got Krillin at Burger King at a very young age. I think that was my very first exposure to Dragon Ball Z. I got that little Krillin toy when he has like the little energy balls. I'll show a picture of him right here. I still have him to this day. And my brother told me a lot about Dragon Ball around this time, and I was like, oh, that's very cool. And I thought it was cool, but also kind of stupid, because I didn't really understand it. And then one of these days, what I meant to say was a few days forward from that time, I was at a friend's house, my neighborhood friend growing up. His name was John. That's all I'm gonna say. No more than that. It was just a guy named John, a kid named John, and I was at his house, and we were playing together. And I think he wanted to watch Toonami, or was on the background. Or when I came over, he was watching his basement, and I saw clips from the Raditz saga, the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z. I think I saw Gohan in the same ship. I remember there was like red lighting. I remember seeing Raditz specifically, Piccolo and Goku. And I was like, what the heck is this? He's like, this is Dragon Ball Z. I was like, oh. And I didn't really like it. Yeah, you guys are not going to like me in the beginning of the story, but as you can tell, okay, I have a whole collection here, guys, so it does growing pains. I go from an arrogant shit to a wise man that loves Dragon Ball. Just keep that in mind. It's a long story, so set up for the ride, okay? This is me as a kid. I wish you could go back in time and be like, you little stupid head. This stuff is genius. It's the most biggest thing in the world. Just love it. But no, time travel does not exist. But if it did, I would take Trunks' time machine. Oh, go back to another timeline and be like, listen, buddy, you better watch what you're saying about this series because it's wonderful. But yeah, that was my first true exposure to the show, I think. We didn't have cable television. We didn't have Cartoon Network. We had Kids WB, ABC, I think, and that was really it. So Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball was not on Kids WB Saturday mornings. Anime wasn't really at all. We had Superman, Batman, Justice League. That was amazing stuff. We also had the Fox Kids, I think, with Spider-Man stuff, so that was great. But we didn't, in X-Men, Spider-Man, Marvel, and DC cartoons, but nothing Dragon Ball, really. You know, like, nothing like that. So, again, Japanese superheroes. That's what it is. And we didn't have that. We had the Western stuff, but not the Japanese stuff. So, I really had that exposure to anime in general. I didn't really care for it at a young age. Okay, we'll get more into that later. You know, we'll get to that part. So, that all happened, and then when I turned... around when I was 7 or 8, around the same time again, I swear to God, I have a vivid memory of this as well. I swear to God, I saw the Rad Saga at my friend's house, and then we were in the NBC suites. My family and I went on vacation for, I think it was for a holiday, or maybe it was just for fun. I know it was around the spring or summertime. I can tell you that much. Oh, thank God the heater went off. Okay, thank goodness. So, I swear to God, it was around that time, and there was obviously cable television in the hotel room. It was like a suite. Like, my parents had their own room, and we had our own room, and then there was like a living room area. And in the living room area, we had the tube TV on. It was a CRT TV, and I swear to God, we had Cartoon Network on, and I saw, at least, I either saw ads, or the actual episode, or clips, or something of Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And I mean, like, Goku either transforming to a Super Saiyan 3 for the first time, or him fighting Boo as a Super Saiyan 3. I specifically remember that, or him powering up to a Super Saiyan 3. I don't know, I just had this vague and vivid memory of that when I was like 8 or 9. It might be one of those Mandela effects, it might be just my memory playing tricks on me, but I swear to God I remember that. I do. And I didn't really care for it once again. I thought it was kind of cool, but I didn't really pay attention to it too much. But one cartoon I loved at that time that I was very invested in was Powerpuff Girls. I remember around the same time I watched this amazing episode of Powerpuff Girls when they fought, like, basically a kaiju, I think, and then they became giant, or it was like a space battle fight episode. And little did I know that Dragon Ball Z had influence on pretty much that cartoon and Conan Kids Next Door and other cartoons I loved watching as a kid. I didn't know any better, but I wish I did at the time. And a loving, big, humongous video game franchise that I love to my heart that Dragon Ball Z definitely had influence on, Akira Toriyama's works, Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball, had influence on is Sonic the Hedgehog. You know I'm a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan, so we're going to get into that later on in this video, in just a moment. So that is definitely my gateway of how I got into Dragon Ball, is because thanks to Sonic, I got into Dragon Ball. And thanks to Dragon Ball, I got into One Piece. But we'll get into that story later on. I'm jumping around a little bit. I'm sorry, I apologize. ADHD, autism, combo, wombo, jumbo nonsense in my brain up here. So that's just kind of how I'm wired. But I also want to keep my story coherent and it to be a cohesive timeline from left to right. So now we're going to jump forward when I was about 9 or 10. Easter, this was Easter holiday. I swear to God it was Easter. We were spending time with my dad's side of the family, my cousins, my cousin Jacob, my cousin Alex. They didn't really care for Dragon Ball at all. Alex was a girl, and I think my cousin Ben and a few other cousins, me and my brother were there too. My older brother. Oh, I forgot to mention my older brother. Oh, Robert is his name. Well, I mentioned Robert in a few other videos, but he got me into like a lot of this cool nerdy stuff I'm into now. He's not into as much as I am, but he introduced me to his friends. He grew up with that generation of, like, you know, PS1 and 64, you know, with the neighbor kids, Xbox. We had what they had, but he was exposed to anime, all this amazing stuff that his friends were exposed to. You know, like Gundam and Transformers, all the cool stuff that I didn't really know about, but he did. And he also was also really big into Pokemon. He loved Pokemon Blue. Remember that? Pokemon was a big thing at that time. It was bigger than Dragon Ball. It really was. I remember seeing Pokemon the movie in theaters, but no Dragon Ball movie in theaters. But that's whatever. I'm getting sidetracked when I was a kid. Now as an adult, that's a very real thing. But as a kid, no. Anyways, so this Easter holiday break thing, okay? So it was midnight, or it was 1 a.m. It was like either midnight or 1 a.m. I remember it being really late at night. We were up watching TV, and our we had our blankets on. We were really excited. I think our dad was I think my dad was kind of a part of it. Like he gave us snacks or something, or maybe my parents. It was either my dad was a part of it or my parents didn't know we were up. It was one or the other. I can't remember what it was. But Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball with Kid Goku, was on TV. I think it was Adult Swim. I think it was, or Late Night Tsunami, whatever. And it was the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament, the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, Strongest Under the Heavens, near the beginning of the series, when Master Roshi was disguised as, Jackie Chun fighting Goku. And they used up all their power. They didn't have any Kamehamehas left or special techniques left. And Master Roshi said, well, Goku, we are all at power. We got to use our hands and feet now to fight. I remember the dub, the voice acting was not the same as Funimation. That wasn't Mike McFarlane's voice coming out of Master Roshi's mouth or Stephanie Donnelly's voice coming out of Kid Goku. I think it was the Ocean dub. I think so. I swear to God, I don't think it was the Funimation dub. I don't think it was. I remember the voices sounding differently than what I heard on the Blue Break season sets over here when I watched the scene again years later when I was really getting Dragon Ball. It sounded different to me as a kid. And so we watched it and I was like, this is really cool. I actually really like this. They're doing traditional martial arts, like hand-to-hand combat. That's really cool and interesting. Like, we're not doing the powers, we're doing like... And yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I enjoyed it. That was it for me after that for years. That was really it. Like, I didn't really look into or care for Dragon Ball at all after that. I did not think of it twice. I don't know. I just didn't care about it. But there was a few particular animes I was into on 4Kids TV or the Fox Box. Kirby Right Back at Ya, Ultimate Muscle. I guess you could count Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 series, and of course, Sonic X. I love Sonic X. And yes, One Piece is on TV also. I did not care for that version of One Piece at all as a kid. So, by the grace of God, I barely watched the 4Kids dub of One Piece. Yeah, I thought One Piece was just a lame show, but that wasn't the show's fault. That was the censorship's fault. And maybe that was the same thing for me with Dragon Ball Z. Maybe because it was like the Ocean dub, and... Well, that was weird. I don't know if that was a ghost or my wife, maybe? She's up right now, so I don't know. Sorry. Okay, so... Sorry about that. I am going to try to cut that part out. So I don't know if it was because of the Ocean dub itself that kind of got me away from Dragon Ball Z, or... Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I don't really know. Maybe I subconsciously didn't care for it, because here's a funny story for you guys. As a child, okay, as a small little kid, we're going to get really close here, because I swear to God, I've told the story in a few of the videos. If you grew up watching the 4Kids version of Sonic X, I bet most of you loved the theme song, the Gotta Go Fast theme song for Sonic X. Fun fact for you, I never fucking liked that song. I hated it. I knew even as a little kid that song just was not Sonic-y enough. It was just too... It didn't have that kick-ass vibe to it. It was not Sonic-y because I came off the adventure games. I knew Open Your Heart. I knew Live and Learn. I knew It Doesn't Matter. Those are Sonic songs. Okay? Even, like, the Sonic Heroes theme had a little bit more, like, Sonic kick to it than that song did. I was like, what the... This is not Sonic. I was like, what the heck? I do not like this song. And then a couple years later, when I was on the internet on YouTube, I discovered the Japanese theme song, Sonic Drive. That song kicks so much ass. The SONIC Go song versus Gotta Go Fast Sonic. I hate that song. I never liked it. I just never did. I'm sorry. I never did. Even to this day, I do not like it. Yeah, that simple. I just do not like that song. I never grew on me. I was never going to like it. I do not like it to this day. And little did I know at the time that the lead singer for the Japanese theme of Dragon Ball Z was a part of the Japanese theme song for Sonic X. Hironobu Kageyama. He's a wonderful man. I love Hironobu Kageyama, or Kageyama-san. His voice is so amazing, and I know him from more than just Dragon Ball. He's worked on Gundam, again Sonic. He's worked on a few other iconic animes I know, but He's also been in various video games and stuff like that. Like, oh man. His voice is just pure gold. It is. I know he's been in other Legacy animes, but I can't remember them right now. But I'll talk more about him later, because I didn't know what the hell like Child the Hedgehog was back then. Okay? So, we'll get to that later. So, okay. So, you know, this was around the year 2003, 2004-ish, whatever. You know, I was just living in my fantasy Sonic land, you know. Sonic was still in a good spot around this time. Then Shadow the Hedgehog came out, and I was like, I do not like this game. Shadow the Hedgehog, oh my god. And Sean Schemmel, the voice of Goku, is in that game. He voices Black Doom. I didn't know it at the time, but I did not like Shadow the Hedgehog. It's kind of a bummer game for me. That game came out when I was 10. And even I knew at the time, I was like, this game is not right. Like, I liked it for like playing it like once through. But that was it. I didn't know you had to play all these different stories. Like, I just did not get the concept. I didn't care for playing it more than once. It took its toll on me. Fast forward as an adult, and the game really took its toll on me. Now it's easily my least favorite 3D Sonic game. Sorry, it's my least favorite 3D Sonic game. Yeah, I know. Shoot me. Whatever. I don't care. People love the game. Whatever. Play it till completion, and then tell me you love that game. Jesus Christ, that thump boss was terrible. And then a little famous game, or infamous game, came out called Sonic 06. I remember at the time, I genuinely loved the hype for that game. I was so excited for Sonic 06. It looked like the best, amazing thing ever. To me, it was like the second coming of Christ. This was a huge deal to me. A lot of fans of the franchise at the time, we were so excited for Sonic 06. And I had this Disney, I was subscribed to this Disney magazine illustration series. It was these little tiny magazines, okay, that got in the mail. And there was a snippet talking about Sonic 06 and how much of a big deal it was. The game finally came out. I rented it from Blockbuster, and I didn't realize it right away. I generally enjoyed the game at first, and then slowly but surely I realized what was wrong with it. And it was very soul-crushing and depressing and sad, and I was very angry and frustrated. I was just like so over it. I was so mad at that game. And it's heartbreaking looking back at it, because I know a lot of people love to make fun of Sonic 06 and say it's like, oh, it's the butt of the joke when it comes to Sonic games. No, it's not that simple, guys. I don't think these people really fully understand the actual story, and I do. I look into shit. I look into deep shit that I love, deep stuff, deeply. I always do. I never look at anything at face value. And that game definitely had a lot of effort put into it. Sorry for kind of side-tracking from Dragon Ball here a little bit, but this is relevant to later on. Trust me, it is. And so, you know, this is supposed to be a game that was supposed to have the same stature, at the same pedestal as like Ocarina of Time. It's supposed to be as big as Ocarina of Time, Zelda Ocarina of Time, or Shenmue or something. It's supposed to be that important, that big, but it just didn't happen. You know, Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's just sad. It's very sad that Sonic 06 did not get that same treatment or outcome. It's very unfortunate. So the reason why that's relevant is because of Sonic 06's influence in Shadow the Hedgehog, a Newgrounds animator called Chakra-X made the coolest, most badass, epic Sonic fan animation of all time that I love to this day. The famous, iconic, kick-ass Sonic Nazo Unleashed. I love Sonic Nazo Unleashed. I'm so excited for Part 2. I just wish you could do more, but I understand completely where he's coming from. But Part 1 was the trilogy of the original was so goddamn awesome and kick-ass and Sonic attitude that we need in the franchise. It's canon to me, okay? It connects with the games seamlessly. It really does. Like, from Shadow the Hedgehog to Sonic Rush or whatever, it connects like perfectly, in my opinion. Perfect. Or just Sonic Battle, which it's debatable that takes place after Sonic X. So yes, it has influence from Sonic 06 and Shadow the Hedgehog and the other games before it, but it also had a lot of influence from none other than Dragon Ball Z. I was like, you're gotta be fucking kidding me. So I was like 12 or 13 at the time, or maybe 11. But I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. You mean to tell me this epic, amazing Sonic cartoon or cartoon trilogy, movie trilogy that I love to death. It's like half an hour long altogether, but it's heavily inspired by Dragon Ball, Z. That cartoon, that anime that I didn't care for when I was little. I was like, that is wow. That opened my eyes a lot, and then instantly I had a lot more respect for Dragon Ball after that. I did. I had a lot more respect for the franchise after that. I was like, that's amazing. My favorite Sonic fan thing ever was inspired by Dragon Ball. And so I looked a lot more into Dragon Ball after that. I did. This is my gateway of how I got into the franchise. Because of Sonic and because of Chakra-X because of Naruto Unleashed. Naruto Unleashed got me into Dragon Ball Z. There you go. There you go. So, yeah, guys, that's not my whole story. This is still just the beginning. But yes, that's very important to the story. So I wanted more. I wanted to know this franchise. So I looked into Super Saiyan. I looked into Goku. That's all I knew. I didn't know shit about how he got Super Saiyan. I knew there were 7 Dragon Balls. All this stuff. I don't think I knew about Gohan or Vegeta or anybody else or Piccolo. I don't know if I did. But a little movie was coming out a couple years after that. And I met a very close friend of mine in the fall of 2008. And he's not my best friend. His name's Tony. And he and I became best friends because of Sonic. But a little live-action movie was coming out in theaters that I had no idea was going to be one of the worst movies I'll ever see in my life. And that movie was none other than Dragon Ball Evolution. Yes, this was my first piece of media. Oh my god, some of you out there are shaking your heads and probably like, no, don't say it. But unfortunately, it's true and I regret it. This is the first piece of Dragon Ball media that I actually was invested in, that I took seriously, that I was interested in. Yes. Don't worry, I have grown a lot since then. I understand. Don't worry. Keep your comments away. I get it. Okay? That movie is garbage. I hate that movie now. I look back at it now and I make fun of it. I know this franchise like the back of my hand. Remember? I said that earlier. This is like second nature to me. I understand Dragon Ball deeply than some of you might, okay? Or most of you might. So just keep that in mind, guys. Like, Evolution was my gateway to the franchise. Or no, well, technically it was Naruto Unleashed. But it gets kind of worse, but not really from there. So, it gets a little bit worse and it gets a lot better. Don't worry for my personal journey. So, when I saw Dragon Ball Evolution, it was in the theaters. And I saw it with a couple of friends of mine. One of these people I'm not friends with anymore. It wasn't Tony. It was a friend of mine named Andy, and another friend who's not my friend anymore, but he was at the time for years until I got rid of him. Because he was bad. Let's just say that. So, we went to go see Dragon Ball Evolution. And it was just the 3 of us. We sat, near the top to get a good viewing of the screen. And there's one other guy there wearing, I think he was wearing a gray hoodie. But he had his hood on. He was just sitting there near the front to watch the movie. And I remember after the movie was finally over, I personally liked it when I first saw it, because I had no taste back then about good or bad stuff. I didn't know any better. I mean, come on. I didn't care for Dragon Ball at a young age. Do you guys really think I had taste back then? Like, come on. No, not really. No. And I kind of liked the 4Kids version of Sonic X. But the music, the repetitive American soundtrack did get to me. That's actually relevant to Dragon Ball Z, because it did the same. Sonic X did the same thing Dragon Ball Z did with its music, and we'll get into that later. But after this other person saw the movie, I just saw him. He just shook his head, and he just got up and like walked away, and he just looked kind of upset. Like, I didn't see his face, but he just kept shaking his head again, and I was kind of like, whatever, man. I was like, be a hater. I don't care. I thought it was all right. No, you stupid idiot! It was not an alright movie! That movie was garbage, younger me! What the fuck were you thinking? Just slap him inside the head. I was 14 at the time, okay? I think I was 14. Yeah, I was 14. I didn't know any better, okay? I didn't actually watch the show yet or read the manga. I had no idea. But that was a foreshadowing moment for my life. I should have known from that guy alone in that theater that was not a good movie, and I found out pretty quickly after that movie was truly garbage. I did. Don't worry, it was not very long. I did not hold on to loving that movie for very long. But I do have a bit of an embarrassing story about that movie later on, but I don't know if I'm going to share it. But that's not the only embarrassing story I have about it. But so I remember I was in the car with my friend Tony at the time, and we were talking about it. And Tony actually watched the show growing up. He was familiar with Dragon Ball Z. Not as hardcore, I think, as, a lot of fans became, but he was familiar with it. But I said to him, I'm like, wow, so I think what's going to happen with the Dragon Balls is Goku's going to get all 7 of them, and he's going to become a Super Saiyan from the 7 Dragon Balls, like Sonic does with the Casimals. And he was like, yeah, that's not what happens in the series at all. But that was my, thinking at the time. But I don't know if he corrected me or he just agreed with me. I don't remember. But he saw the show, so he knows. He knows more than I do about that kind of thing, but I don't know if he fully understood Super Saiyan or the concept of it, so I don't know, but that's what I thought. Okay, so, shortly after that, my parents and I, that summer of 2009, it was summer of 2009. I don't know if I discovered Dragon Ball Z Kai yet. No, I discovered that. This is also I think this was my first year when I went to Camp Kodiak. I think it was. But this was about like a month or so before I went. So, I discovered Dragon Ball Z Kai through some people at Camp Kodiak. But before that, before my first year there, my first 3 weeks there, I went there for 3 weeks for like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, it was nice though. I made a lot of friends through it. But before that, my parents and I, and my younger sister, my older brother, my younger sister Sabrina, older brother Robert, and I have an older sister. She's not there for this party, but for some dumb reason, or she wasn't there for the trip. I said the word party and said trip. For some stupid reason, at the time, when we went on vacation, I did not take my DS with me, my Game Boy Advance and DS games. Why would somebody not take, who loves gaming and loves that stuff, on a 2-week vacation, not take their DS with them in their Game Boy Advance games? I don't know, I just did it for some reason. See, I made dumb decisions, everybody does. My older sister also made a very dumb decision. She had a big party, and this person, who she claims she doesn't know, or was uninvited, stole my DS and games. Yes, very sad, while we're in Boston. And he also stole my younger sister's money. Yes. It was this Mario DS, but my parents rebought me one for Christmas a couple years back because I asked for it again. And plus, all the games that were stolen, I rebought them over years. So this happened all in 2009, that was years ago. So, thankfully, things have changed since then. But, something wonderful happened while we were in Boston. I finally got to watch Dragon Ball Z. My dad and I were at the comic store, okay? He took me to this amazingly cool comic store. He did. It was 2 stories. It was 2 stories big. And he knew at the time that I loved the Sonic Archie comics. Oh, boy. See what I mean? I didn't have taste back then, okay? I didn't have taste back then. But, to be fair, the newer comics around that time, I think they were written by Ian Flynn. So they were kind of good. And I did enjoy, I think so. Or at least he was about to come in around that time. So I did I just like the comics because of the world building and the lore. I still think that's interesting, but the Archie comics do have problems, but they also have a lot right going on with them and a lot wrong too. Like it's like a double-sided coin. So anyways, I was looking for Sonic Archie comics, and I think that was all I was really trying to find. Maybe some Batman, Spider-Man, or Superman, but I don't think so. And so they had a DVD section, and I think they had an anime section, and there it was. Sitting there, I saw this orange Season 1 box set with Vegeta screaming on the front cover, and the side said Dragon Ball Z Season 1. For those of you who know, you know what that was. Here's a picture of it, right here in front of my face probably. The god-awful Season 1 orange brick box set. Remember, keep in mind, things change, guys. Things clearly change, okay? The Dragon boxes are literally right behind me right now, okay? Things obviously change. I don't own those anymore. I didn't know any better back then. And for those of you who don't know why that was a bad decision, those are terrible. That is the worst way to watch the show besides the live-action movie. So I went the worst possible version of the story to the worst possible way of watching the show. Which one do you think is significantly less shittier? I don't know. Probably the orange brick, because it's at least the original show. I don't know. But the reason why the orange bricks are so terrible is because Funimation, the Western, North American company that owns the rights to Dragon Ball Z here in the States, cared for it for years on Toonami, right? They did it justice, the best they could. And then we can finally release the whole show on DVD. Let's release it with the Japanese original music with the English voice acting. That was a smart idea. Thank you for doing that. But the vocal songs were removed that played in the show originally, in the Japanese version. Yes, there's vocal songs that played in the show. I'm not talking about the opening and closing like animes have. I mean, there's vocal songs that played in the show. They weren't there. Oh well, at least most of the score was there, which was great. Okay, we also got the original Toonami soundtrack in there as well, which was done by, I think they're called Cake Factory Productions, but the guy that loves to take all the credit is Bruce Faulconer. Bruce Faulconer did not make all the music, but he is credited for the Dragon Ball Z US soundtrack. Like I said, Sonic X and Dragon Ball Z both did this thing when the show was brought to America, they changed the music. 4 Kids, though, did that with a lot of animes, not just Sonic X, but Dragon Ball Z was really the only exception, I think, on Toonami that did this. And it's funny, because I ask a lot of people who love the series if they know that, and then most people since like, people in general, I don't think knew that Bruce Faulconer, like, is like a thing. I'm like, hey, did you know that, like, the US version has different music than the Japanese version that aired on Toonami? And even people older than me didn't really know that. And I'm like, that's so fucking weird. I feel like that's like a big known thing in the Dragon Ball Z community, but whatever, I guess. Maybe it isn't. But it must be, because most fans will know what I'm talking about in this video that are watching it. I can guarantee you that, like, most people will know exactly what I'm talking about right now that are watching this video. But I don't know. It's weird. So yes, Dragon Ball Z got different soundtracks. The Toonami soundtrack, Bruce Faulconer soundtrack. It's awesome. I love that music, but I also grew to love the Kikuchi score. May he rest in peace. Yes, he passed away years ago. Shinsuke Kikuchi, the original composer for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I also believe he did the music for Dr. Slump. I'm pretty sure he did the music for Dr. Slump. I'm pretty sure he did. So yeah, yes, his music carried on all the way to Dragon Ball Z, and I used the opening song from Dragon Ball GT. I adore the Japanese soundtrack for Dragon Ball GT. It's so beautiful and gorgeous, but we'll talk about that later on in this video. My exposures to GT will have to wait till later. So, anyways, when I first watched the show, and it's terrible 16:9 format. Okay, so let me explain why the orange bricks are bad. I don't think I can. Oh my god, I was fucking ADHD autism one more jump reading again. So, the reason why these season sets, I've tried to show a picture, all 9 of them are bad, is because A, Dragon Ball Z did not have 9 seasons on Toonami. It had 6. So, you're taking a show that you're not even being fully honest about its, or honorable about its, like, original season, like, releases that aired on TV. It's a big show, I get it, but come on, seriously? Whatever, they fixed all these problems, most of these problems with Dragon Boxes, let's just say that. B, the original Funimation dub is not on the DVDs. There's a remastered dub, though, which is really fucking good. I love the remastered dub, for the most part, I do. I actually have a version of the show where I am watching the original dub, and I do have some problems with the OG dub, the OG censored dub, I guess you could say. But it's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, I prefer the remastered dub for the most part, but I still think the original dub is charming. And the original Ocean Canadian dub, right, from like the original airing of Dragon Ball Z, is the voice acting is top notch, phenomenal, so good, it's so great. But wow, they made a lot of liberties with the story, a lot. That's kind of jaw-droppingly bad. It's like, or kind of stupid, but it's also kind of funny. And it does, I don't want to bash on too much, because it does give that version its own charm, and that's okay. It is, but it's whatever, because we have the uncut version, and Kai, if you want consistency in the video games, so it's all there. It's all there. Anyways, I watched, okay, so yes. So the Orange Bricks and sets has that going on for it. And they also took the footage of Dragon Ball Z that aired in the 90s, okay? In the 80s. Now, as you guys know, you're watching this video on a widescreen format, right? This is called 16:9. For those of you who may not know, it's what films are usually presented in on like the big screen when you go to the movies, okay? Back in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, TVs used to have used to be formatted like this. This was completely cut off right here. This was gone. Okay, it was called 4:3. Okay, so yes, that means that includes Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Okay, I'll definitely show examples here because there's a ton of them on the internet. People love to point this shit out, and thank you all for doing it because you have every right to. Okay, so yes, this is all relevant. This is all important. Okay, stick with me. So why is that such a big deal? Why are we talking about 4:3 format and 60:9 format? Right? Because they took Dragon Ball Z and they zoomed in. They zoomed into Dragon Ball Z like this. You know what I mean? They zoomed in the footage to remove the black borders on the side, and then you lose the top and the bottom of the. You use about this much maybe. And it's like, oh, that doesn't seem like a big deal. It's a very big deal. I would say about most of the time ish, it's fine, but it really isn't though. You should not do that. You lose footage. Why would you do that? You get like a teeny bit more on the corners, not much. That's not really the worst of it though, but that's still pretty bad. You're still losing footage. They also removed the grain. Grain is super important to keep in your film. For example, one of my favorite cartoons of all time, Batman the Animated Series, right? Could you imagine if that show got the same treatment Dragon Ball Z did? Holy shit, that'd be bad. But Batman the Animated Series, man, a lot of scenes are really grainy, but like it matters so much. It needs to be there for the detail, for the show to look good. When I watch Dragon Ball Z in actual good detail now, it looks great with the grain and everything. But when they remove it, it looks like shit. So there's times when, like, when the camera shakes because there's a lot of explosions and power-ups going on, and the camera's shaking up when the characters are doing awesome shit with their powers, and they're powering up, they're going Super Saiyan, or they're doing their abilities, or they're making explosions. Camera's shaking. The camera is shaking, and when it shakes, you miss the lines. The lines, they fucking disappear. They're just gone. They're not there anymore. What the fuck is going on? The grain is gone, and then here's the shit crop on the cake. They saturated the colors. They saturated the lighting. They expose it up to 1,000. It like blinds your eyes at times. It looks terrible. I will show examples of the orange bricks right here, and you cannot honestly tell me this looks good. Do not kid yourself. Do not kid yourself. This looks like shit, people. This looks like absolute dog shit. Wake up. Do not defend the orange bricks, please. I can forgive you for maybe defending the Blu-rays. Barely. But this? No. Fuck no. This is 1,000% the absolute worst, terrible way to watch Dragon Ball Z. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this. Funimation, I don't care if it was like practically 20 years ago when this came out. They're garbage, and they continue to do shitty things to the show today. That's why I can't be forgiven. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. But we'll get into the stories later on. So yes. It looks like shit, right? You can tell by what I'm showing in this video. You can absolutely see it. You can see it for yourself. It does not look good at all. It looks like dog dookie. Here's how the show should look. Does not look a lot fucking better. Look at that. That is Dragon Box footage right there. It looks great, right? It looks restored, looks remastered. That's the way it should look. You cannot tell me that looks worse. That is bull fucking donkey ass shit. Don't you dare disrespect the first quality of the Dragon Boxes. That is the absolute 100%, 1,000% way the show should look forever onward. Well, there actually is better, but we'll get into that later on. There actually is better, because not even the Dragon Boxes are perfect. They're great, but they're not perfect. And we'll talk about that later on. And that's very important to this video. I also want to talk about how important Toriyama really was later on too, because he was way more important than I even realized. Way more important than I even realized. And I honestly can't believe that. I actually watched this incredible video about him, early today from filming this video. But we'll talk about it later on. So yeah, I didn't know any better at the time, but it didn't matter too much because I still enjoyed Dragon Ball Z. I watched it with my older brother, my younger sister, and we bonded. And he told us a lot of stories about Dragon Ball Z at that time, about like how big of a show it was and why it's so important. And it came with this booklet. I remember the booklet that it told you everything about those characters. The little orange birds came with these booklets, and I loved it. And I think there was even pictures of Super Saiyan or something. I don't know. The season 3 set definitely had it. And it was a nice time. It really was. Like that was like one of the last times my siblings and I really bonded. Especially my older brother. He's just so different than how he used to be. It's kind of sad, but there's still parts of him that are still there, but he just isn't the same as what I had growing up. It's very unfortunate. It really is. But anyways, we still have our moments. Don't get me wrong. Like I got to be with him one time at his house, and it was generally nice. Not just a few months back. It was. But anyways, as I was trying to say, we just watched X-Files and hung out. But anyways, sorry. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. That was my first exposure to the show. He told me about Goku's death the second time against Cell. I remember him showing me that. I think he showed us a little bit about the Buu Saga or something, or some more stuff about the Frieza Saga. So yeah, like clips on YouTube, basically, while we were watching the show. I think he had his own laptop, because again, he was like about a couple years older than me. So yeah, I think he did. He just showed up. He just put up clips on his laptop that we watched while we were watching that. And man, this is a funny story about that fucking season set. So this was shrink wrapped, by the way, factory sealed, okay, from Funimation headquarters. I bought it brand new, and when he came back to we were staying in a villa. No. But we were renting like some kind of house at the time. I don't know. We weren't at a hotel. We were at like a 2-story house or something. It was not like anything. It wasn't like an actual like I don't know. It definitely felt like a vacation home. Let's just say that. I think that's where we were at the time in Boston. Weird, right? Like, what the hell? Like, I don't know, but yeah, my parents are filthy rich. I swear to God, they really are. But that's whatever, okay? So anyways, I got back. I had the Dragon Ball Z season set. Opened it up, and I noticed that it comes with 6 discs, okay? 39 episodes, 6 discs. Disc 3. I think it was either disc 3 or disc 4, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. I don't think it was 4. Maybe it was 4, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. It was season 2, disc 3. I sold it off years ago, but it came with season 2, disc 3. Yeah, in the season 1 box set. Brand new, shrink wrap, factory sealed. I have never seen anything like that ever again with any of the shows I collected, in the movies I collected, any other versions of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Z Kai, the movies, like other franchises like with One Piece or Batman, or like, what else have I collected? Like, or like Breaking Bad, or Fullmetal Alchemist, or The Lord of the Rings, or whatever, just like Samurai Jack over there. Other shows I never, ever saw that kind of flub ever again. Holy crap! So I missed a bit of the show. Whatever, that's whatever now. Man, just looking back at that, it's kind of funny. But wow, I like, the signs were right there for me that this season set was garbage. But I didn't know any better. I didn't. I honestly didn't know. I didn't know about aspect ratios. I didn't know anything about what Funimation did to the show. I collected the rest of the season sets without even knowing. But I think before I bought more of them, I don't know for sure, but I think I watched Fusion Reborn after that. I don't remember if I watched season 3 first or not. I think I did. No. Did I watch season 3 first? Maybe. I can't remember if I did or didn't, but I think I did. I think I watched season 3 first, and then I watched Fusion Reborn. I think so. It's kind of coming back to me with the Frieza saga. But that movie is not my favorite Dragon Ball Z movie, but it was awesome the time I saw it. Now my favorite Dragon Ball Z movie is either Battle of Gods, Wrath of the Dragon, the cooler movies. Man, they're all good, and I love World's Strongest, and Tree of Might, and Dead Zone. They're all so, and the first 5, Dead Zone, The World's Strongest, Tree of Might, Lord Slug, Cooler's Revenge. They're all fucking fantastic films. They are. But yeah, yep, I remember that. I remember we came home, and I think I saw it. I don't remember where it was, but maybe I was at Best Buy or something with my dad. And maybe it was Best Buy. Maybe it was Target. Dragon Ball Z back in 2008, 9. 7, 10 was everywhere. It was everywhere. It was fucking everywhere. It was at Target, Best Buy. It was at you could buy. There's toys at Walgreens and Toys R Us and shit. It was everywhere. It was everywhere around this time because the show shortly just got kicked off Toonami around this time. I think Toonami was closing its doors around this time. So yeah, only 2 years later, all the franchise, all the merchandise is still there. Now, yes, Dragon Ball is everywhere today, but it's not as easy to obtain it. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it is, but it's... Yeah, okay, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And now we have better toys. The Dragon Star toys and the Tamashii Nation figures. But we'll talk about more about that later. But yeah. I just remember that. I remember I got Fusion Reborn, came home, watched it, and I loved it. And I watched season 3. I skipped season 2. I know. I know, right? I made dumb decisions at first with Dragon Ball Z. And I have more to say, but I got to take a break for just a second. But I have more to say, so just one moment. Okay, guys, so I had to take a quick break from the video. The lighting may look a little different. That's because I'm filming this now in the early morning versus last night. So basically, that's all I did. Just went to sleep, woke up, and continued this. Okay, so anyways, as I was telling my story, so yes, when I first got into Dragon Ball Z, got into the Orange Brick season sets, and I skipped season 2 at first, so I watched Fusion Reborn. I remember hearing about Fusion again with Piccolo and Nail or something with season 2, and I was like, oh my god, this is when they're going to fuse. They're going to fuse now. But no, I didn't know any better at the time. Excuse me. And that's when I discovered and learned that fusion with Namekians and Saiyans or humans, it's all very different. Which, if you don't know anything about the series, it is different, but you'll find out when you get into it. Like there's fusion with earrings, fusion with the technique, and the Namekians, which is what Piccolo is, you know, the green alien guy. It's just an ability that they can do as a species. And once two Namekians fuse, the other one evaporates completely. His subconscious, their subconscious goes into the other person, and then it's just gone. So, yeah, I basically had to explain something that most fans probably already know, but it's for the newcomers, so just remember that. But yes, so there's so, and the earrings come from the sacred world of basically the afterlife, aka Otherworld. Yes, Otherworld is the afterlife world in the story and lore of Dragon Ball. And then there's these ultimate beings called the Kais that watch over like the galaxies and everything, and they have these earrings called Patara. And if two different beings wear the same earrings on opposite ears of each other, they will fuse together. With mortals, the fusion only lasts an hour, but with Kais, it lasts for eternity. So again, I know I'm just re-explaining stuff. that's like second nature to most fans, I feel like. Okay, I apologize. Now let's move on. Okay, so I have so much to say in this video because I have made videos about Dragon Ball on my channel before, a lot of videos, but I'm definitely gonna make a lot more now because I love this stuff. I love Dragon Ball so much. With Toriyama's death, I think it's like I need to really show that. I really need to show that. I've said before in a few videos, I'm working on this book series. I cannot wait to get published and out there. It's like my long-running dream since I was 9 years old, and Dragon Ball has been a humongous influence to this book series since I first got into it. Like my perspective on my story has changed completely since I got into Dragon Ball Z at 14. It changed like a lot. For my premise, for the core premise and basis of my book changed almost completely because of Dragon Ball Z. I kid you not, on my book series. So that is a big deal. And I have my cat once again, like I did in my last video. She's just wants attention, I think. So yeah, guys, I love Dragon Ball to death. But this is just the beginning phase when I got into it when I was on 14, 2008, 2009 era. But I was also kind of an arrogant shit, like I said. I could care less about the Japanese version of the series at the time. And I think after I got into the original show, I discovered Dragon Ball Z Abridged. And then I think I discovered Dragon Ball Z Kai. I think, I don't remember, but the first time I ever heard Chala Head Chala was from Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Dragon Ball Z Abridged was the first time I ever heard Chala Head Chala, you know, the main iconic theme to the series. Yes, I know. And I was like, oh, that's a cool song. I never heard that before. I'm like, oh, it's Japanese. Oh, it must be is it the Japanese intro? I was like, oh, it is. Okay, and then I discovered Hyrule Kageyama, and I remember it felt weird hearing it for the first time, but I did not dislike it. I remember distinctly not necessarily disliking it. I was just kind of like, okay, when I heard it, and then I got more into it because it was really catchy, and then I fell in love with Hyrule Kageyama after that, and I learned all about him. And I love his music to death today. I do. Not just for Dragon Ball, but I'm mostly for Dragon Ball because he does all the songs for Dragon Ball games, like the vocal themes. It's awesome. Awesome stuff. But like I said, he did music for the Gundam series, for Sonic X, and for various other kind of animes I can't remember right now. He might have done something for Fist and North Star. I don't think he did, but he did something for, I forgot, it's like some space anime. I forgot what it was called, with like Space Warriors. I think he did. Besides Gundam, I mean. I think so. I don't know. I have to look into it later. But, yeah, so that's awesome. Okay, so I was very obsessed at the time with the Bruce Faulconer Toonami music. Okay, I'm going to refer to it as the Toonami music throughout like the rest of the video. But the original Toonami soundtrack, when Dragon Ball Z aired on Cartoon Network on Toonami, it had a different soundtrack produced in the States. Funimation got someone else to do the music after episode 68, I think it was in the series, because they took the first 67 episodes and condensed them down to 53 episodes. That was what Ocean or the Canadian Funimation did. It's still Funimation, just house in Canada, and they're known as the Ocean dub. And they basically took Dragon Ball Z, recensored it, re-edited it down. The iconic original broadcasted US version of the show that most fans grew up with Rock the Dragon and everything, and the original voice actors, and Brian Drummond as Vegeta, you know, it's over 9,000, you know, Vegeta. So I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with that version of the show. At least people, you know, my age or older are, or a little bit younger maybe, because I'm almost 30. I'm not 30 quite yet, but this year I'll be 30. So people roughly around my age are probably familiar with that version. You know what I'm talking about. that group of Dragon Ball Z. And I do love the Ocean dub. I mentioned it earlier. Yeah, it is iconic. I do love the voice acting, but it's just so weird watching it compared to the uncut Funimation dub or the Japanese version. Or again, I read the original manga, so I think that's kind of what's next. I'm getting into that story next. I'm just trying to give you guys my earliest experiences. I remember then I watched the episode specials at the time too. I think I got the Blu-ray version of them that came with the US soundtrack. I didn't know that they were episode specials. The Bardock, Father Goku, and History Trunks, I genuinely thought they were movies because Funimation advertised them as movies. I thought they're Dragon Ball Z movies. They're not movies. They're episode specials. They're connected to the original show. They're episodes to the original Dragon Ball Z TV run. They're just extended episodes. They're 50-minute long episodes. So yeah, basically, or 45-minute long, whatever. But I love them. I still do to this day. I love them. They're two of my favorite episodes in the whole series, obviously. I think my absolute favorite episode, Gohan vs. Cell, like, come on. The iconic Kamehameha clash when Gohan defeats Cell. I think it's that one. Or the one when Future Trunks annihilates the androids and Cell. Or the driving episode with Piccolo and Goku was so much fun. I fucking love that episode. It's hilarious. It's so charming. I love the filler. And that's something else I should talk about. It's not just Dragon Ball Z. A lot of fans, a lot of people give Dragon Ball Z flack for its filler, but you guys have to remember, and especially for those who haven't seen the original Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball anime has a lot of filler too. And I don't see anybody complaining about how bad or how there's too much filler in the original Dragon Ball anime. That's because it was generally fun and good. And you know what? So was Dragon Ball Z's. The only real problem when it came to the filler in Dragon Ball Z I personally had was all the Chi-Chi, all the extra scenes with Goku's wife Chi-Chi. This character, she's terrible. She's my least favorite Dragon Ball character, easily. She was really good, or Dragon Ball Z specifically. She was really good in Dragon Ball. Well, for the most part, she was alright. And she could have been a fighter that taught Gohan like the earthly basics of martial arts, that also encouraged him to study and be a scholar. She could have had a good balance of both. But no, they had to make her this like overbearing, like stereotypical Japanese mother that came off as just crazy at times, because she's like, I don't care about the actual Earth, I don't care that these people saved the planet, nothing matters more than my son and his studies. That's borderline insane. I'm sorry, but that is, and Goku loves her, and he's allowed to. I love this character. He's my favorite in the series, probably, besides Gohan and Vegeta and Piccolo and Krillin. I love all 5 of those characters. Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Krillin. And Tien, maybe. No. Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Krillin, Piccolo. And 17 now. Trying to think. Well, those are my favorite male Dragon Ball characters. I like, as a character, as a person, I love Bulma. I think she's funny, charming, endearing, and smart. She's iconic. She's been there forever. I really like 18. I love Videl. Who doesn't love Videl? Videl is like the best girl character in the whole series. Oh, and I love Mr. Satan. I forgot about Mr. Satan and Boo. I love Mr. Satan and Boo. I love them. Mr. Satan his character is very similar to like Vegeta's. He comes off as this unlikable jerk, and then he becomes like the most likable, fun, endearing character ever near the end of the series. I love Hercule Satan. I love Boo. Yes, that's his name, Mr. Satan, and he's also known as the world champion. Like, the entire Earth loves him, but he's like the weakest character. He's strong though to normal human standards. He's like the strongest Earthling to normal human standards. So yeah. And if you want to know how the characters become super strong, one of the wonderful best things about Dragon Ball is it's all about training and just growing as fighters. They learned from the legendary martial arts master Roshi, Muten Roshi, the invincible old master Roshi, of how to become like these great fighters. They can do Kamehameha ways and power up and stuff like that. It all starts with him. So it's simple martial arts, but there's like energy blast and ki or energy blast, where basically the characters take their energy and put it into one spot in their hands and they can blast it out. Or basic martial art term, chi. It's basically chi. It's like, yes, if you're familiar with karate or any kind of martial arts, you should know what chi or ki are. It's your energy coming out of your body. And yeah, so Dragon Ball teaches everyone that you guys can be strong. Anyone can be strong. Yes, we can't go around flying and turning off blasts or going Super Saiyan, but it's all about growing and being stronger, and that's the beauty of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has inspired a lot of people to work out, and that's a beautiful thing to see. That's a beautiful, gorgeous thing to see. All these men, and women too, I'm sure, but I mostly see men online talking about their stories of how Dragon Ball inspired them to get stronger, to work out at gyms and stuff. And I think that's a wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful thing, and it's inspiring me to work out too. Whenever I watch Dragon Ball Z again, I find myself working out again every time. But it's hard to watch it because it got formatted in all these shitty ways, and we're gonna get into that. Don't worry. And there's an ultimate good version I can personally finally enjoy that I'm going to talk about near the end of this video. So stick with this video. It's a long journey, guys. You guys can probably tell by the length. I know this might be 2 hours long or something. I don't know. This is gonna be a long ass video. I apologize. I hope you're all down for the ride. Okay, so where was I going with this? Bruce Faulkner music, 2008. Okay, so not too long after this, I almost forgot. So before I get into my story with the Dragon Boxes and the manga, I gotta talk about the Dragon Ball Z video games. These right here are the first 4 iconic Dragon Ball Z video games that I got into at the time. Right here, these ones are. And Legacy of Goku 1, but I no longer own it. And at the time, I did not have a PS2. I had a GameCube and a Wii. So the very first Dragon Ball Z video games I think I ever played were Legacy of Goku 1 and 2. And I mentioned earlier I was at Camp Kodiak, and I played these games on my Game Boy Advance and DS, and I loved the first year I was there. I don't know if I had these games. Maybe I did. Well, shortly after I got the Orange Bricks, I think I got these games at GameStop or something right before we went to our trip, and I played them. I do not like Legacy of Goku 1 at all. I think Legacy of Goku 1 is easily one of the worst games in the entire series. It's easily one of the worst Dragon Ball Z games. I played other handheld Dragon Ball games, like the one on Dragon Ball Origins on DS and Fusions on 3DS and stuff. And Goose Fury, which is a great game. And I have to say, guys, Legacy of Goku 1, for me personally, is the worst. It's the worst Dragon Ball Z game I have played on handheld. But this is actually probably my second favorite Game Boy Advance game next to Mother 3, which is awesome. And this plays very similar to the Earthbound Mother games. It does. It's not quite like them, but it reminds me a lot of Mother 3, which is a really good thing. I love this game. I'm trying to 100% it right now, and it's a good time. And like I said, Goose Fury is so awesome. I'm loving it. I'm only in the intro part with Goku in Otherworld. He does die a couple times in the series, by the way, so that does happen. More than a couple, depending which canon you follow. But we'll get into canon later. Trust me. We'll get into or lore you follow, I should say. But yeah, this game is so awesome. I love it. And I swear to God, this is the second Dragon Ball Z game I think I played on the Wii. This is my favorite game in the series, probably. I love this game. This one and... it's probably the third one, honestly. I love Tenkaichi 3 so much, but I got this game, I think it was at Blockbuster in 2008, 2009, and I fell in love with it, and I was able to buy it shortly after that, and I played in my friend's house at the time, I remember, and in my house, and my friend Tony mentioned earlier, we bonded because of this game. This game got us more into the series. He's more of a big Star Wars nerd, and he's more into other stuff now, but I remember back in high school, when I was first getting Dragon Ball Z, it was fun getting into it with him and other friends at the time. And we bonded over Sonic and Dragon Ball and Star Wars and Halo. He got me to Halo, and I love Halo today. He did. But this game is awesome. I love it. And another iconic, wonderful Dragon Ball Z game, the first Budokai. I love the first Budokai. This game has easily the most charming cutscenes in the whole series. The cutscenes in Dragon Ball Z video games are very stagnant. They're not very animated, but this has the most charm animated, cartoony ass anime Dragon Ball Z cutscenes in the entire series. Now, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is like an upgraded next-gen version kind of this game, but really it just does its own thing, which is fine. It has amazing cutscenes too. But this game, I find the cutscenes to this game have to have their own unique charm. And some fans might think this game doesn't hold up that well today with its gameplay, and that's okay. That's okay. I completely understand. But I think this game is timeless, kinda, because of its charm. It's timeless because of its beautiful, wonderful, cartoony charm. You can tell the developers had fun making this game, and Funimation had fun dubbing it. It's just so awesome. And the music. I know, the whole plagiarism thing with Kenji Yamamoto. I know all about that. I was there when the news got discovered. He did the music for Dragon Ball Z Kai as well when I first got into it, so that's how I discovered that news. But he did the soundtrack for these games. And the series, I'm sorry, I know his music was mostly copied and plagiarism, but he probably did the best music in the entire, out of all the Dragon Ball composers ever. He was probably the best one. Maybe, I don't know, because I do love Shinsuke Kikuchi's score, the original Dragon Ball composer to the anime. His score is awesome. It is. But Kenji Yamamoto's music was like a really great blend of like what Bruce Faulkner and his team could do, and what Shinsuke Kikuchi and his orchestrated team could do, blended together into like the East and the West together with this amazing soundtrack. That's kind of what it was. It's a shame that like he got like, you know, in trouble for that. It's very similar to like how Yuji Naka got in trouble for like inside trading. Like it's not that big like of like an illegal thing that they did, but still illegal and it's still wrong what they did. But damn it, you know what I mean? But they made such amazing stuff out of like what they've done. I don't know, like it's just like, I don't know, it benefits nerds, so it's kind of like, I don't know, or like people, I don't know. Yeah, it was wrong, but it's also kind of a harmless crime when you think of, oh, maybe okay, inside trading not as much, but I don't know. It's a very touchy subject that I don't want to talk too much about because I might get in big trouble. Whatever. And then this is my 4th Dragon Ball game. I love Raging Blast. I think my favorite HD though, like 7th generation Dragon Ball game might be Burst Limit, because Burst Limit is like an HD remake for sure of Budokai 1. But this game is so awesome. It holds up well. There's a bazillion scenarios in this game. This is kind of like the Tenkaichi 4 at the time. Kind of. I played this game again just last night after playing Tenkaichi 2 and 3. And yeah, it plays so similar to those games. It's such an awesome game. It really is. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Raging Blast. I love the second game also, but I barely play much of it. But this game is awesome. And yes, I do own the other Budokai. I own... I don't have Budokai 2 or 3 right now. I sold them a while back at my old job. I'm going to get them very soon because, you know, they're not very expensive games. But I have Tenkaichi 2, 1 and 3, and I love them. They're such amazing games. I love the Tenkaichi series. And yes, I'm excited for Sparking Zero, but I want to play through these games before that one comes out as much as I possibly can. But yeah, that was my first experiences to Dragon Ball Z video games. I had 4 really good first experiences, didn't I? Those are really good Dragon Ball Z games, so... Aside from Legacy Goku 1, which can, you know, get the fuck out of here. I do not like that game, I'm sorry. But that was my earliest first or second year experiences with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. From 2009 to 2010, and shortly after that, I got into Dragon Ball Z Kai. But I think before I watched Dragon Ball Kai, my dad and I, you know, he took me whenever he went to Best Buy and Target at times, and I begged him for the rest of the show, and that's embarrassing to me. But he understood how much I cared about it at the time, and he understood I wanted to watch it for the first time. And plus, the orange bricks I think were $20 each back then, so it didn't bother him too much. And like I said earlier, my parents were loaded, so it definitely didn't bother him too much. But it is what it is now. But he and I went to Best Buy, and he got me at the time the first season of Fullmetal Alchemist, the original Fullmetal Alchemist anime, which I fell in love with that show. And shortly after that, I think I got Trigun, one of my favorite animes of all time. I love Trigun, and One Piece, the first collection set over there. I love Trigun, One Piece, and Fullmetal Alchemist so much. And these animes, I watch these animes while still watching the Orange Brick season sets of Dragon Ball Z. After I finished the show for the first time, I watched those for sure. And it really helped me open my eyes up to more of Japanese culture stuff, because, you know, these shows have the original score in them. There's no edited American score there. So that really made me think, like, maybe I should really be more Dragon Ball Z. And then, at that time, I also saw the yellow, golden, iconic, beautiful Dragon boxes at Best Buy. They were there. I saw them. These legendary, holy grail artifact Dragon Ball collector items were just sitting there at Best Buy for $50 each. I remember it distinctly. And I'll get into why these are considered the holy grail of Dragon Ball collecting now. Like, you know, this is the Dragon Box part of the video. This is finally that part of the story. So, I'm trying to find something that I had earlier. Where'd I put it? A little piece of paper. That, oh crap, maybe my cat messed with it. Where'd it go? Well, anyways, each of the Dragon boxes had this, like, display, this, like, piece of paper, like, behind them that told you, that described for you what they were. Oh, okay. I think I remember where it is. Give me one moment. I'm about to grab it. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, folks, I have it right here. So each of the Dragon boxes, shrink wrapped and sealed, had this on the back of them. So this is like the year 2010. I think it was around fall of 2010. Maybe it was 09. I don't think it was though, but maybe it was. Originally produced in limited quantities in Japan, Unfortunately, that's true. They're releasing 7 sets here. Well, over in Japan, now this is Dragon Ball Z. This is Dragon Box Z. There's Dragon Boxes for the movies, Dragon Ball and GT, all in Japan. And originally it was just all like 1 set, but Dragon Ball Z came in 2, and then we got it here in 7. And it's literally just the show, all 291 episodes, no episode specials, no Japanese interviews or commercial collection set, which came in the Japanese version. Plus, each box set does have a Dragon guidebook, which is awesome. But the Japanese version got more stuff. Plus, they got little figures of Goku and Piccolo. We didn't get any of that. And here's the kicker: the Japanese version of plus the DVD menus are animated in the Japanese version. Here it's just stagnant images. It's just a picture from the show. Big of a deal. I'll get into the differences later on too. But one big thing I want to talk about really quick is that these here are way more expensive. The US version is way more expensive than the Japanese version, which comes with more stuff. That's crazy. But we'll get into more. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Okay, why it's like that now. Originally produced in limited quantities in Japan, the incredibly rare Dragon Box has long been the ultimate prize for avid Dragon Ball Z collectors. Now this coveted collection has been reproduced for the first time in the United States, delivering the authentic original Dragon Ball Z experience to hardcore fans, like me, nowadays at least. At the time, not so much. The battle to harness the power of the 7 Dragon Balls explodes in vivid detail like never before. The Dragon Box features over 40 uncut episodes, remastered and restored frame by frame, rendering the legendary action in pristine clarity. Each episode is presented in Japanese with the complete with the complete opening and closing credits, and includes the original episode previews. I forgot to talk about episode previews. So what are episode previews? Episode previews, for those who are not familiar with anime, specifically shonen anime, are like little 15 to 30 second clips after the end of the episode and the credits of showing you what the next episode is going to contain. So the Orange Brick season sets that were shit did not have the episode previews. Neither do the Blue Brick versions of Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball GT over here. And one big problem with the Blue Brick season sets for Dragon Ball is that there's a second opening with a second opening with different animation that they did not include, and there's like 5 different credits, all using the same song though. You know, like the opening song, Mystical Adventure, and the closing song, I'll Give You Romance, for Dragon Ball never changes. Okay, the music is always the same, but they did use different like openings and closings, and I'll try to show you guys what I'm talking about here while I'm talking about it. There's only one they only used one for the opening and closing for the entire show. All 153 episodes, I think it is, for Dragon Ball. They never change it. Plus, Dragon Ball had episode previews too, episode specials too. Dragon Ball has episode specials that never got dubbed, which is okay, but it still though. Like, this version's fine. The footage is decent, and at least it's a 4x3. But man, that sucks though. Anyways, I digress. Surely the essential addition for Dragon Ball Z purists. This set isn't in addition to your archive. It is your archive. Your wish is finally granted. The Dragon Box is here. Like, it does sound awesome. It does. But Funimation has this nasty habit of overselling their Dragon Ball products. They make this sound like the Dragon Boxes are quote-unquote perfect, and they kind of are, but they're not. They really... Nothing is, right? But, like, let me explain what I mean by that. They don't come with what really should be there. I feel like they could have done more. Because, like I said, the Japanese versions had animated menus when you put the disc in. It came with a figurine of Piccolo and Goku. There was interviews from the Japanese cast members. There's also a commercial collection. We don't have any of that. We don't even have interviews from the Funimation cast or anything. It's kind of weird. It really is. But the booklets are awesome. They are. They have vivid detail. I wish I could show you them, but I can't because my figures are all around them. But, you know, the booklets... Plus, I think I showed them in other videos, too. The booklets have, you know... And other fans have as well. I'm sorry, I know, I'll keep, like, interrupting myself. But yes, there are other videos about the Dragon Boxes I recommend you checking out. The fans have talked about them in better detail, probably, than I'm trying to right now. I do want to collect the Japanese versions. I do, and I probably will sometime this year. But I don't know yet. I don't know. It depends on where my life goes from here. I don't know. I'm still banking on this channel being what I have as a job. I'm sorry for like subscriber banking or subscriber begging at the moment, but it's kind of like I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for that moment to finally happen. I've been waiting for years. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to make more videos like this. And if you guys are enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribed, because if I see the subscriber thing going up, I will definitely keep making more videos like this. And like that video game, the video games I think you should die series, or more videos like that. Like I just will, because I love doing this stuff. I want to keep doing this kind of thing, but if it's not paying the bills, I can't. I don't have the freedom to, you know. Right now I do because of my broken arm right here, but we'll see what happens in a month or two. Okay. Anyways, let me get back on track. So, yeah, Funimation, man, you know, they always overhype their stuff. And their most notorious sleazy car salesman pitch is the stupid 30th anniversary Dragon Ball Z release. And we'll get into that later on. Oh, yeah, for those of you who actually like that set, let me educate y'all, okay? Like, you need to listen up why that's not a good set. It's not as bad as the Orange Bricks, but it's still infuriating that Funimation did almost the same thing again, practically. And we'll get into it later on. So anyways, I remember seeing this in the Dragon boxes at Best Buy in 2010 with my dad, and I was just looking, I'm like, I don't really want these. But I remember distinctively telling myself, it's not that I had an initial reaction to being like, I don't care for this. But then I thought about it, and I was like, no, actually, because they did look awesome. They did, like the part, like the characters in the front, they look great. They do. And I just thought to myself instead, I'm just not ready for these. I'm not ready to collect these. I want to get these maybe one day. I don't know yet, but right now I just know I'm not ready because I'm just new to the series and I'm not really a hardcore fan. And then I found out they're going out of print. That Funimation was going to stop making them. Why would they do that? Why would Funimation stop making this amazing set? Because of the shitty Orange Bricks. They were selling like hotcakes. Plus, they just released Dragon Ball Z Kai on DVD and Blu-ray. And they were coming out with the Dragon Ball Z Blu-ray level sets. So there's all these different versions on Blu-ray. There's all these different versions of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z that you could get. There's all this stuff. So what unfortunately had to go? The level sets. Because they didn't come with a lot of episodes that they just came out. They only came with like up to 13 or 20 episodes per level set. And the Dragon boxes, because they were too expensive compared to everything else. They were $50 compared to Dragon Ball Z Kai, which was probably 20 or 30 bucks at the time, and the Orange Brick season sets, which are probably something between $10 and $20. Because, of course, that's what the soccer mom's gonna pick, or the you know, generic dad who doesn't know any better. Which is okay. It's not the consumer's fault fully because they didn't know any better. Funimation releases too much at once. And that was shitty of them to do that. It was. They should have canceled the awful season sets. They should have. There's no excuse to continue them. There isn't. They're awful. I don't care that they're selling like hotcakes. I don't care that they're cheap on the price. Get rid of them. Stop producing them and continue the Dragon boxes. Yes, that would have been expensive, but then you could have maybe cut down the price of the Dragon boxes to $30. It would have benefited them in the long run. Absolutely, 100%. What the actual fuck to that? And instead of making the level sets, maybe they could have waited to do Dragon Ball Z on Blu-ray a couple years and finally release them. Maybe the Dragon boxes on Blu-ray instead. But no, that didn't happen. We never got a US release of Dragon Ball Dragon boxes or GT or the movies. Which to be fair, the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z movies that we have here released in the States are in good quality. They're fine for the most part. We don't need Dragon Box the movies here in the States because what we have is actually pretty good. It is. It's just kind of sad though, you know. And speaking of which, the first Dragon Ball Z movies I watched before I even cared about the Dragon boxes were Cooler's Revenge, The Return of Cooler, Fusion Reborn, Wrath of the Dragon, which is maybe my favorite Dragon Ball Z movie besides Battle of Gods, and the Cooler films. And I think I also watched the first Broly movie, and maybe the second one. I think that's kind of it. And now I've seen all of them, and they're all awesome. I love most of the Dragon Ball Z movies. I'm not a big fan of the third Broly film. I think we all can agree that Broly is probably the second worst Dragon Ball film next to Evolution.
It probably is. And I don't really care for BoJack Unbound as much as I used to. I'm sorry. BoJack Unbound is awesome, but it's just such a slow-paced film. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, I love Wrath of the Dragon and maybe the first Broly movie more than BoJack Unbound. And I love Super Android 13. Super Android 13 is so fucking awesome. Especially when that ending is so epic. Like, that should have happened in the anime. What Goku, he uses his ultimate attack, the Spirit Bomb. He takes energy from all living things. Okay, he makes a giant, blue bomb with it, and he absorbs it into his body, and he becomes a Super Saiyan through that. That's so epic. I'm like, this needs to happen again sometime in the series, because it's such a fucking awesome moment that should definitely get repeated. It's so cool. I love it. Sorry for fangasming at them, but it's so underrated. It doesn't get talked about enough, I feel like. So, anyways, I finally did... So now I want to talk about my Dragon Box story. So at the time when the Dragon Boxes went out of print, I was also collecting for the manga. The first Dragon Ball Z manga I ever got was the Viz Big of Volume 4, which was the Goku vs. Frieza part. And I got this right when I was getting into the show, right when I was getting during my Orange Brick phase of the show. So I was very much into the Western American version of Dragon Ball Z, and out of the blue I was like, I'll get the manga. Because I was still curious to explore the Japanese version, and I know Toriyama created the series. This is his book, and I knew that. I recognized at the time I still cared for Dragon Ball enough to still be curious to check out some of the Japanese stuff. So I did, and just the dialogue was very different. I just wasn't for it at first, but I didn't hate it. I was like, this is different, but I'm okay with that. And I still liked it a lot to compare to the Funimation dub. And then little did I know, a few years later I collected the rest of it. I started reading the manga, I think, in my sophomore or junior year of high school. I think it's my junior, 11th grade year. Oh, sorry. No, that's 9. Sorry. 10, 1. Okay, there you go. During my junior year of high school, I started reading the manga finally. I swear to God it was then. I collected the rest of them. Oh yeah, so I did collect the manga before I got the Dragon Boxes. I did, but I kind of just strayed away from the show because all I had were the Orange Bricks. I remember the last time I ever watched the Orange Bricks before I sold them off was when I watched Gohan vs. Cell again on a big fat widescreen TV that we had at the time. I think it was maybe a 4K TV, and I finally saw how shitty the sets really looked. I finally realized it. I was like, wow, these do look god awful. This looks terrible. So after that moment, this is after I graduated away from high school, I think. I immediately collected the Dragon Boxes. As soon as they went out of print, I immediately collected them. I just got as much as I could. I think I got Volume 7 first. I got Volume 7. I bought them backwards because it was cheapest and most expensive. But Volume 2 was the most expensive one, so I had to wait to get that one. But I bought them backwards at the time. And I remember getting each one was like a huge deal to me. I felt like I was like Indiana Jones or Nathan Drake getting these treasures. And I know I was just buying them off the internet. I know. I didn't get them anywhere in person. I bought all 7 of them offline. But it felt like a big deal to me. It did. Plus, I just got a job at the time. I was finally making my own money, and I was able to get them that way too. It was a huge deal to me. It was. I remember getting Volume 2 was such a big deal. I had to wait a couple months or so, maybe longer than that. But I had most of them. I think I had all of them except for that one. I finally bought it. I finally got the last volume. I kept them ever since, and I don't remember for sure, but I think I sold Volume 1 and 3 on eBay, and I rebought them. I don't know though, man. I don't know if those are the originals I got or not, or at least Volume 1. I think at least Volume 1 I did, but I regret doing that, and I'll get into why I did that later on. A depressing part of my life is coming now, but it all has to do with my ex. I got my first girlfriend around. My first girlfriend around 2010, she's alright, but my second girlfriend, not so much. I got her in 2011, right when I was getting into the Dragon Ball series, and she was a part of me getting into the Dragon Boxes, but not really. That was just more for me. Okay? That was more for me. But this woman destroyed my life, unfortunately. But she has no control of that now. At the time she did, but not anymore. So, I'm doing much better now. For sure I am. But, yeah. So, where was I going with this? So I got the Dragon Boxes, and I was like, finally I can watch the show and enjoy it. No, I can't. I can, but I can't. Why? Because they had this super expensive version of the show. And when I say super expensive, I mean, like, these are thousands of dollars. the price for these keep going up over time because they're out of print. They're thousands of dollars. It's like a rare video game. It's like or a rare comic book. It's just gonna keep going up over time. So I only watched the show once through on DVD with the Dragon boxes. Only once through. Because I wanted to preserve the discs. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I can't watch a show like this. But it's all I have. And I've had them since 2012. I've had these since like 2012, 2013. I'm not going to get rid of them. No way. No. After Toriyama passed away, though, I did consider selling them for the Japanese version. But I was like, I don't know. Now I'm having second thoughts. Because I don't even know when I'm going to get the Japanese version. I have no idea when I will do that. But, yeah, they're like worth thousands of dollars now. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I'm like, I guess I could just I'm just going to read the manga. And I did. I read the entirety of the manga through my high school and college years. And I think I finished the manga around maybe 14 or 15. Maybe 16. I don't think it was 16. But yeah, it was a fast read. And it's definitely the best version of the story. I don't care what anybody says. This is Toriyama's story. This is the author, the creator of Dragon Ball himself. Of course, it's going to be the best version of the story. Yes, it is. I keep telling people that, and they're like, "Oh, really? Okay." Like they don't fucking believe me. This is the best version of the story. This is the best adaptation of Dragon Ball. It's the original source material. Of course, it's going to be the best version by the original visionary of the story. Yes, read it if you haven't. You want a recommendation for Dragon Ball? Read the manga. Don't watch the shitty widescreen version. Read the manga. And I know you might be like, what the fuck? I don't want to read it. Okay, well, think about it this way. How are you going to get into something like Berserk? You have to read it. Like, yes, they're coming out with new anime now, which will probably be fine, but you have to read it. It's the same thing with Dragon Ball. You have to. I'm sorry, but you have to read it. Like, that's my best recommendation. I don't care what anybody else says. You could collect the old VHS and DVD tapes that Funimation released. Those are fine, but I would recommend you reading the manga before you watch the anime. I'm sorry. It's definitely the best version. It is unfortunate because yes, Dragon Ball is such a fun series that you're going to want to watch it. Like you look at something like Dragon Ball, it looks so attractive, and it's animated and it just looks so fun and cartoony and bouncy with its art style and wonderful. You're not going to want to read that. You're going to want to watch it. How can I possibly blame you? I don't blame you. I don't blame you for subconsciously wanting to watch the show versus reading it, especially if you're a new fan. I don't blame you at all. I absolutely understand. I got the show through watching it, so I get it. I do, but I got into the show not knowing any better. Which is why I'm trying to educate most of you out there. Watching this shitty version of the show, I didn't know any better. I didn't know it was bad. I didn't know it was crap. Now I do. Now I'm very aware of that stuff. And I'm sorry to say, that's the best legal way to get into the series. But there is another way that isn't really necessarily legal. It's not. It's a very hairy gray area. And I was going to wait till later to talk about this. But maybe now's the time to do it, because I already went over the way how I read the manga, and the anime, and the movies, and the games. I got into all of it. So where do I stand now with Dragon Ball? It's the year 2019. 2019, guys. Here we go, man. The 30th anniversary of Dragon Ball Z. Toei Animation, the parent company of the series, and Funimation wanted to celebrate with this wonderful, badass 30th anniversary edition that was complete crap. It's not badass. It's not awesome. They did this big fat fake ass false advertisement for it. That's like, oh, it's the definitive version, Dragon Ball Z 4x3. Oh, it's gonna be great. They're gonna sell you. They're trying to make 4x3 a selling point. Who the fuck does that? Could you imagine like Batman the Animated Series, a 4x3? It should be, or like the Golden Girls complete series set 4x3. It should be. Like that's when it came out. You know what I mean? Or like Avatar. Like The Last Airbender, 4x3. Yeah, it should be. It's a no fucking brainer. Dragon Ball Z is the only show. The Simpsons on DVD in 4x3. It should be. Dragon Ball Z is the only show where this issue exists. Unfortunately. So Funimation had to sell you back 4x3 for aspect ratio. Are you fucking kidding me? That's ludicrous. It is. This whole thing with Dragon Ball, with these home releases, is ludicrous. There's tons of videos about this such a controversial thing. It sucks. It sucks talking about this. It sucks that this problem exists. It shouldn't here in the West, but it does. France got it better. The French Blu-ray release of Dragon Ball is the best Dragon Ball release ever so far that we have. I don't even know if it includes the episode previews. It might. It's just not in English, unfortunately. No English anywhere. No subtitles. No dub. Very unfortunate. Physical legal release, I should say. So, where do I stand now with Dragon Ball with this 2019 30th? Okay. So I highly recommend. I said this in the video, and in a comment. Check out Tony Strongstyle's video, dropping the ball with Dragon Ball Z. It will piss you off, but it'll also educate you why this is so important. Okay? So the 30th anniversary edition comes out. And I'm like, thank God it's in 4x3. Oh, look, they added back in the grain. Not really. They put in a grain filter over what they removed. And it's in 4x3. It's in 4x3. You got the black borders. It's full screen. It's zoomed in. Yeah. It's still cropped. What the fuck? Why? It's in 4x3, but you're not losing 20%. You may be losing 5 or 10% of the footage. But you may think, oh, that's not a big deal. And I get it. I get if you think that. But why would you even bother doing that in the first place, Funimation? Why not just release it into original aspect ratio? Why do you keep fucking with it? What's so difficult about just taking... They had the Dragon Box footage. They still probably have it. Funimation make copies of it to give to other companies. You had that. Why can't you just release that on Blu-ray? The work's already done for you. It's less work for you. You probably will make a bank off it. What the fuck are you doing with this weird-ass version of Dragon Ball Z? What the actual fuck? And so, I bought the Silver Blu-rays because I had no other physical version to show at the time. And I thought they were going to be fine. I thought they were going to be awesome. I made a video about them. Like, yeah, they're great. They're okay. They're about the same quality as the Blue Bricks for Dragon Ball. No, they're not. I was wrong to make that video. I was wrong. My opinion's changed a lot since then. I cannot now in good faith recommend those. And personally, I'm going to try to find footage of what I'm about to talk about. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. But this was such a what the fuck moment. And it wasn't a personal what the fuck moment. My wife was there. She saw this too. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Season 6 of Dragon Ball Z. I was watching Goku versus Cell. Super Saiyan full power Goku versus Perfect Cell. The fight. One of the episodes. And I shit you not. This is one of the weirdest things. One of the weirdest things I've seen in my entire life. Each time the camera angle changed, in a cartoon show, mind you, in an animated drawn cartoon show, the lighting was different. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The colors looked different each time the camera changed to a different shot. It didn't matter if it was Goku on screen, or Cell, or the side characters, it didn't matter. So you see Goku running, and like the colors are too dark. Then you see Cell, and the colors look fine. Then you see Cell again, and the colors are dark. You see Goku, and the colors are dark, or they're too bright. I was like, what am I watching? I was like, what the fucking shit? What the fuck? What's going on? This is supposed to be a Blu-ray season? Like a Blu-ray release? What is this shit? I couldn't believe it. You cannot honestly watch that and tell me this looks good. You cannot be serious with that shit. This is weird. This is coming off from somebody who already experienced the beauty of the Dragon Boxes. I know, I get it, but the Dragon Boxes aren't even perfect. They have problems too that I have not even gotten into yet. I touched on it a little bit. The colors are still not perfect with the Dragon Boxes, but they're a good, decent release. They at least are consistent. Sometimes the sky looks a little too green, and sometimes the colors look washed out. So unfortunately, we don't have a perfect version, but this is definitely the best version to physically collect for. But it's going to be a huge risk on your wallet. So, oh my god, I couldn't watch the show after that again. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? There's got to be a really good version out there. So out of curiosity, I did a Google search, I looked online, and I thank God I finally found something. Thank God for Seed of Might. I can finally talk about this. Seed of Might, Dragon Ball Z. Now may I remind you, okay, I skipped my GT and Super story. Fuck. So, damn it. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break because I definitely want to talk about GT and Super before I get into Seed of Might. But I got to take a break. Plus, you guys are probably like, oh my god, this video. You guys don't have to watch this video all at once. If it's super long, take breaks. Go do something else. Come back to it later. Add it to your watch later playlist. I'm sure you have one. Like, come on. You know, YouTube makes one for you automatically. But yeah, my GT and Super story. I need to talk about that first. Man. But Seed of Might, look them up. I might put links in the description below to, like, you know, who and what they are and why this is such a big deal. But I'm gonna take a bit of a mental break and come back to the video in about a couple hours for right now. And when I come back, I do definitely want to talk about Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super. So, okay, it's break time for me. Here we go. Okay, so before I get into iChaos and Seed of Might, who are very important to the story, I'm saying at the very end, I need to explain how I got into the Dragon Ball anime, Dragon Ball GT anime, Dragon Ball Super, and my feelings about Dragon Ball Z Kai. I think after I watched Z, I watched GT next. I did. I got GT next, and I watched GT with the US soundtrack, and it was a slog at first. It was just not enjoying. I was not enjoying it. I was not having a good time until Baby arrived. I finally got more into it. And then I was like, this is an alright show. I really liked it at first. I did. I still love GT to this day. I don't care what any other fan may say about it. You know, you can be the biggest hater in the world. I don't care. I love Dragon Ball GT. I do. I don't know if I like it more than Super or Super more than GT, but Super's definitely has a lot of merit. It is a good show. It is a good story. The manga's fine for the most part. It's still the original Dragon Ball story being continued, so that is very important about it. GT, however, is its own story. Now, here's one thing I really want to touch on. We gotta touch on the canon. Dragon Ball fans love to debate canon. What's canon? What's not canon? GT's not canon. The movies are not. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you that shit does not matter. The film is not canon. Toriyama didn't make it. It's not canon. You guys have to remember it's an adaptation. I feel like 95 to 97% of Dragon Ball fans have no idea what the hell they're talking about when it comes to canon. They just like to debate that they know what they're talking about, but they really don't. And Geekdom 101, man, he said that best, and I agree with him. And I do my best to understand it and to know what I'm talking about. If you have not read the original Toriyama manga, please do not come at me with what you believe you know is canon, not canon, because I'm like, you don't know crap. I'm sorry. If you have not read the original source material, then do not debate with me what's canon, what's not canon. Do not go there. Yet also, I don't know if those arrogant folks may know this, but Toriyama did work on Dragon Ball GT. He got it off the ground. He did. He didn't make the story. He did not create Super Saiyan for Goku, but he did help it out. He wanted to be done with the series at a few points, but he did always care about Dragon Ball. He definitely put love and care and thought into it. He did, for sure. He was a millionaire after Dr. Slump. Dr. Slump was so successful in Japan, bigger than The Simpsons was in its heyday in the States. I did not know that till recently. I was like, holy crap, when I found that out. So that's huge. So yes, he was like making more than Matt Groening was in '94 probably. That's insane. That's very insane to think about. So he was set to go for life, but his editor, who became a really close friend of his, really wanted to work on Dragon Ball with him. So he pushed him to make Dragon Ball. Toriyama's editor, I can't remember his name, was the real driving force behind Dragon Ball's story, its consistency, its characters, and the reason why it became the story and the product that it is. He had a lot of influence in it. He helped create the androids and Cell. He helped the story keep going. But he also did not want Goku to grow up. Toriyama's editor wanted Goku to stay as a child. And Toriyama was like, no, these characters should grow and get older. That's what I want for them. And he wanted to serialize it. He wanted them to like age and for it to be like a long-running, he wanted that. And his editor said, no, Kid Goku is iconic. People love him. And he's like, well, if we can't age Goku, then I think now's a good time to end Dragon Ball because I can't really think of any new ideas with him like this. And his editor said, well, okay, on second thought, we'll have Goku and Akira grow up. I think it's a good idea. So Toriyama kind of threatened to end Dragon Ball without Goku growing up. If that doesn't show you that he cared about it, I don't know what will. But he definitely cared, and we all love adult Goku as a father with Gohan and everything. And the Dragon Ball Z portion of the story is most people's favorite. It's my favorite part of the story. I do love the original Dragon Ball story too. I love it as a whole. But But if I had to, sorry about that. If I had to separate them, I prefer the Z portion for sure. But I love how deep the original Dragon Ball is, with his martial arts, you know, and everything, with how deep it goes into martial arts. But Dragon Ball Z is a very deep part of the story. The whole thing is very deep. The whole thing is very, very deep, especially the original manga. Especially the original manga. It's a very deep story. It really is. I mean, it doesn't look like it at face value. It doesn't, but it is. And the more you explore it, the more you understand it. Just you can say that about any story, and that is true. But Dragon Ball especially. All right. So, anyways, as I was saying, so GT was kind of a slog for me. I never watched it with the US soundtrack ever again. I love the original Japanese music to Dragon Ball GT. I don't know the composer's name, but it's not Shinsuke Kikuchi. But the music for GT was so beautiful. It was so gorgeous. Oh my god. It might be my favorite soundtrack in the whole series, like I said. It might be, because it's just this gorgeous orchestral soundtrack. It's so good. It's so goddamn good. I like it more than the music they play in the games, and I like it more than the Bruce Faulkner stuff. I love it. It's not as iconic, maybe, but I just love how gorgeous it sounds. That's a big part of why I love it. And I can't watch GT without it. I just can't. It's just not the same. And then I watched the original Dragon Ball. And I remember now, yes, I watched the original Dragon Ball, and then shortly after I watched the whole thing, then I finally read the manga. But I loved it. I got the Blue Brick season sets. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than the Orange Brick season sets. Out of like the three of them, out of the three complete series for animation, Dragon Ball TV series run sets, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, you know, the blue bricks for Dragon Ball, the orange bricks for Z, and the green yellowish bricks for GT. GT got the best treatment. It did. The only thing that's really problematic is there's no episode previews. That's literally it. It has all the openings, has all the closings, the music's fantastic, the footage looks great, it's preserved really, really well. That's a little shitty in my opinion. I'm glad that GT got the treatment it should have, but that doesn't mean that Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball should have to suffer. Dragon Ball is like, it gets the silver medal, right? GT gets the gold, Dragon Ball the original gets the silver. It's an alright release, the footage quality looks good for the most part, the colors look a little, you know, too bright, but not really. It looks fine. It's not quite Dragon Ball's quality, but it's good for what it is. They could have done this to Dragon Ball Z, and that would have been fine, but they didn't. It just doesn't have the openings and the closings, the right animated ones, and no episode preview still. Right? That's kind of a bummer. Plus, we gotta talk about the mono Japanese audio. Yes. So one big part of why me, and I think a lot of fans when they get these DVDs, cannot watch the show in Japanese, is because the audio is in mono quality. Even on the Dragon Ball Z Blu-rays. Funimation actually did a decent job cleaning up the audio quality for the Steelbook Blu-rays. I will give them credit for that. I forgot about that. They did a decent job cleaning up that audio quality for the Japanese version. They did the best they could in my opinion. But a fan in the land of the rising sun in Japan recorded the entire show, and he preserved it because Toei Animation actually did record the show in stereo, the broadcast audio version. Maybe it was still mono, but it sounds a lot better than what we have now. And they threw out those tapes. They threw out the original audio tapes, the original recording audio tapes, because they had the mono audio, and they're okay with that for some reason. So the parent company of Dragon Ball cannot be trusted, unfortunately, of the cartoon series, of the anime. Toei Animation, who owns Sailor Moon, One Piece, I think it's called Toriko, and a few other, you know, famous anime IPs. They own a lot of stuff. They do, but Dragon Ball is like, you know, their biggest one, their bread and butter, and they still treat it like crap at times. It's like subtle. It's very, you don't know at face value that they treat Dragon Ball like crap. You have to deep dive into this stuff to find out, and you know they do. They threw out the audio remaster tapes, and they gave Funimation the okay to crop the show. They gave Funimation the okay to like make it look widescreen, and then they did the same thing with the Buu Saga for Dragon Ball Z Kai. Why? See, they're just as bad. We can't trust either one of them. And now Toei Animation is saying that they're coming out with this 4K remaster for Dragon Ball. Where the hell is it? I've been hearing about this for years. They were rumored to work on it even before the 30th anniversary release came out for Dragon Ball Z. And not only that, it's rumored to be censored. What? Why would they censor it? Oh my god, I can't believe that. But apparently that's what they're doing. So I don't know. But we'll wait and see on that, because I've heard about this story for the past 5 years now, and at least I haven't seen anything yet. And we already had a perfect version. I already told you, Seed and Might. We'll get into them later. Seed and Might later. Okay, so where was I? Wow, the hell where was I at? So I'm talking about Toei Animation and Funimation, all that stuff, and then the Western releases of the show. Right. Okay, so yes, So why some of the Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball, and then Z with the orange bricks, and then god damn it, I forgot I was talking about before that. How Funimation and Funimation script the show? Yes, they do. They do. Unfortunately, they both do. And like I said, the Dragon boxes were limited release over in Japan, which is really unfortunate earlier. But let me touch on them now. So why I already touched on why they didn't sell well here in the States. But why? But they are the best, legal physical version of the show here. Yes, for Dragon Ball Z, legally speaking. Technically, legally speaking, I should say. I don't know. I think the Cetamite stuff is not fully illegal because this isn't being produced anymore. That's the part of why I think it's kind of fair game. And we'll talk about that more later on. Okay? I keep mentioning them, but I have to wait till the end. So, they're good, but they're not perfect. Like I said, they don't have any extra features. It's literally just the show. And the colors look great for the most part. They look fine. The show looks the way it should. When you watch the Dragon Box footage, you can tell. But they look kind of not. I guess you could say that they look kind of dark. Not as bad as I explained earlier with Dragon Ball Z Super Blu-rays with the Cell and Goku episode. It's not like that at all. That's very different compared to this. If I can show physical examples, I will. As much as I can in this video. I will do the best I can to show you guys what I'm talking about. So for the Dragon Box footage quality, it looks fine for the most part, but sometimes the blue skies, when the characters are on Earth and stuff, and the daylight, it looks green at times. Like, it's very faint green, but it's definitely there. And sometimes the gi looks a little faded, brighter than it should. Like Goku and Krillin Yamcha's orange gi looks a little off at times, and I don't know. You can just tell. I've only watched it once through, but I remember, and I see screenshots online and stuff, and I get it. So it's not perfect, and if you ever owned them, would you really want to watch them? I mean, they're so expensive. Would you really want to risk it? Your DVD could get stuck in a DVD player. It could get scratched. Anything could happen. Why risk it? So, plus again, they cut out the music. They cut out Mind Power Key, a song for Future Trunks. He explains to the characters how his future world was like, and the iconic Spirit vs. Spirit, Day of Destiny, Gohan vs. Cell when he turns into Super Saiyan 2 song that plays in episode 184. It's not there in the U.S. soundtrack at all, or in the U.S. dub, in the Funimation dub. Why the hell did they cut the music out? I mean, I love the Bruce Faulkner music. I love Super Saiyan 3 Power Up, Gohan Angers, Vegeta's Theme, Vegeta Super Saiyan, Hyperbolic Time Chamber, Goku Spirit Bomb. I love the Bruce Faulkner music. Don't get me wrong, I do. I love both of them, but I also love Haruto Kageyama's music, and he did that music. He did Mind Power Key. He did the other iconic theme song for Trunks, Light Haikiri No Willpower, or Light Willpower, an epic song that a lot of fans love, and Gohan Super Saiyan 2 theme, Day of Destiny. So, yes, it is a shame the music's not there. So, is there anything that can be done? Yes, I already told you guys. So, finally, in 2019, after I was so frustrated... Oh, I forgot to go Dragon Ball Super. Fuck. Okay. So, after all this happened, let's go back to 2015 when Dragon Ball Super was out in the movies. Battle of Gods, The Resurrection F. They were fun to watch at the time. I love Battle of Gods. I didn't get to see it in theaters, which I was going to Camp Kodiak when it's coming out. So, I missed out. But it's one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z movies today. So, this is my first true experience with the Japanese dub of Dragon Ball. I watched the show in Japanese from episode 30 or so moving forward, and I loved it. I didn't care about the dub was great. I finally got to witness Masaka Nozawa's performances, really got to see it, a full-on in a show, with her voicing, Goku, Goten, and Gohan, and I didn't know it was different. I completely forgot she voiced all three of them while I was watching it, because her acting is just that good. And the other characters too, and I genuinely enjoy Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super is a good show. It is. It's not the best part. It's not the best Dragon Ball anime. I believe the best anime Dragon Ball like TV show is Z. And the reason why I say that is because yes, Toei Animation put a lot of love and effort into it, and they show you flashback scenes from Dragon Ball a lot in the show. And the filler is just a good time overall. And yes, I mean no disrespect to Kai, and if you love Kai, you have every right to. There's nothing wrong with enjoying Dragon Ball Z Kai. I think Dragon Ball Z Kai is fine. It just isn't for me. And like I don't know if I talked about this too much yet. Maybe I mentioned in the video earlier, but I find it to be just a bit soulless. And I don't know. It's hard to say because I understand what Toei Animation is trying to do. They're trying to take Toriyama's original manga vision and put it into an anime. And you can use that excuse, that reason, but why not start with the original Dragon Ball then? Doesn't that make you think, why did they start with Z and not Dragon Ball? If you really wanted to be true to Toriyama's original manga vision in anime form, why did you just do Z? Why didn't you do the original Dragon Ball series? And why did you just use the original anime? Why didn't you reanimate it? You see now why I'm frustrated about that? It's kind of soulless to me. Do you see why? I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And remember, nobody ever complains about the original Dragon Ball anime. Nobody ever does. Nobody ever says a filler, there's too much filler, it's like 50-50. It's just like Z. It's exactly like Z. The manga for Dragon Ball and the anime for Dragon Ball are not one-to-one the same. Just like the manga for Z and Dragon Ball Z. Plus, the manga franchise, or the manga story, the original manga line, Shonen Jump magazine when Toriyama was writing it, it was just called Dragon Ball. It was Dragon Ball from Pilaf all the way up to Majin Buu. It was just called Dragon Ball all the way through. So why is there a Z then in the anime version of Dragon Ball Z, and why is there a Z in the Viz Media releases? That's because, like I said, Toriyama wanted to end the series a lot. So, after Goku and Chi-Chi were married, and after the revelation of Goku being alien, all that stuff, Toei Animation was like, yeah, you know, it seems like this is like a soft new beginning for the story, with Goku having a son now, all this stuff, and we wanted a new approach for the anime. So, do you have any ideas of what we should call it? Instead of just, you know, the Dragon Ball name, do you have any new ideas? And he said, well, you know, I really want to end the story soon. He was going to end it with Vegeta at the time. That's why all the characters get killed off in the Saiyan Saga. Yes, that's why. He said, well, you know, Toriyama said Z is the last letter of the alphabet. So the Z represents the end. So Dragon Ball Z is basically Dragon Ball the end. And that name is so fitting. It is. But, like, now we have Dragon Ball Super and all this other Dragon Ball stuff that came off from it. But originally, that was the intent, and should it have ended with Z? If the ending was different, yes. I do love Oob, and I love the whole thing with Goku going off to train with him, but I think there should have been that fight with him and Vegeta that we got in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the DLC. That should have been there. If that was the way they ended it, then yes, I would have been satisfied with that. But unfortunately, no. So I love the way GT ends is so beautiful. It's the best ending I've seen so far in Dragon Ball anything. Besides, maybe I haven't seen the Dragon Ball Online ends yet, but Dragon Ball Online is a really good follow-up to the original story, which we'll talk about Dragon Ball Online later on, because I love everything about Dragon Ball Online. Dragon Ball Super can still maybe go that direction, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if it will. Excuse me. I hope I'll cut my burps or not. I just had lunch. Sorry. So, oh god. GT, Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super was a good time. I love watching it all the way through, and now you know why Dragon Ball Z is called Dragon Ball Z. So yes, I think it's the best anime version. I think just Dragon Ball Z in general is very, very good. It's a very good time. The manga, the anime, it's very good. Everything after that is still fine, but it's not as good as the original. Except for Battle of Gods is really the only exception, I think. From Dragon Ball to Z to Battle of Gods, it's an awesome, epic, fun, good time. After that, things are not as consistently good, but they're still alright. They're still alright. Like it's like more of like the same quality as like the Buu Saga. The way the Buu Saga was as a narrative, quality wise, is kind of like the rest of the series. Dragon Ball Super is kind of just more of like more of that kind of, and so is Dragon Ball GT. They're very similar in quality. They're so similar in story quality. Like, yes, I know Super's going to be more consistent and things can get better. And GT just throws every idea it can. The thing about GT is that it was only greenlit for 64 episodes. The staff members wanted more time. Unfortunately, the show had a really rocky start, even with the Japanese gorgeous soundtrack. It's hard to watch the first 10 episodes of GT. It is, because it's very sluggish and slow in general. If the first 10 episodes of Dragon Ball GT were more like entertaining and more Dragon Ball Z-like, I bet you GT would have more episodes. I bet you would have, and it would have been a much more beloved, likable show. I'm sure it would have been. I'm sure it would have been. I think it would have had at least 20 more or so. I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. But I bet you, if the beginning of GT was better, it would have had more episodes, and people would have liked it a lot more. In the long run. The Android 17 arc is very controversial. I get that. But so is the Majin Buu Saga. And I love both of them for the most part. I have more problems, definitely, with the Super Android 17 arc, because there's shit that just happens in the narrative that does not make sense all over the place in the anime universe. Not just in GT specifically. People love to point out all the inconsistencies in GT and say why Sonic Kane and why it doesn't make any sense, blah, 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 blah. But Dragon Ball to Z, that has similar issues. There's like constant characters that are called the Demon King. Who's the true Demon King? I don't know. There's like 10 of them, right? There's that going on. There's like power creeps. Goku gets stronger in this filler arc, and then you go back to the actual canon story, and he's not as strong as he seems. Like that happens. I think it happens in one storyline in the original Dragon Ball anime. Like stuff like that happens, and nobody ever points it out. And that you don't have to. But like, stop. My point is please stop picking on GT. It's a good product. It's fine. It's not. You don't know true Stinker Dragon Ball till you've seen Dragon Ball Evolution. Okay, so give GT a fucking break, please. Please stop hitting on it. You can just like it all you want to. Okay, but like it's not as bad as you might believe it is. It really isn't. It's not. No, God no. Especially if you watch it with the original Japanese soundtrack, it makes it all the more worth it, in my opinion. It does. And yet, Pan, Goku's granddaughter, may not be the best character, but she's alright in the long run. And you can't go wrong with how amazingly badass Super Saiyan 4 is. One of the best. Probably the best character design Super Saiyan Transformation. It's probably my second form, or third favorite form in the whole series, or maybe fourth. No point. I love Super Saiyan 1, Ultra Instinct, which is not a Super Saiyan form, but I just love Ultra Instinct. They're both equally iconic. Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan 4. And of course I love Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and I love the Super Vegeta form when he first fights second form Cell. It looks so awesome with his hair speckle. Oh, it looks so cool. And yeah, like there's a lot of Super Saiyan transformations I'm a big fan of, but I debate if Super Saiyan 4 is my favorite one or not. I don't know, but it is epic as hell, and it is so fucking cool. And Goku's just a savage in that form, and so is Vegeta. It's a wonderful transformation. I love it. And Toriyama gave respect to GT. He gave them his blessing. He admired that Toei Animation continued Dragon Ball the way that they did. He did. He was like, thank you so much for continuing my story without me. Yes, Toriyama wanted to be done with Dragon Ball, but he always cared about it. He just wanted a break. The guy just wanted a break. He took no breaks when he wrote Dragon Ball. He didn't for 10 solid years. Week on week for 10 years. He came out with a new chapter. No breaks. He only took a 1 week vacation between Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball. And after Dragon Ball, he didn't really stop making manga. He made a bunch of new stuff, but it just kind of came and went, and I can totally respect that. He just wanted to spend time with his family and be retired, and he was for the most part. That's a wonderful thing. A lot of us wish we could live like that. I hope I get to. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, like I hope to God I make it with YouTube and in my book. I really, really, really am hoping and praying here it happens. Time will tell. I don't know. But it's a beautiful thing to see Toriyama that he did make it. Twice. Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball. He made 2 banger franchises. Plus, he created new ideas on his own that came from pretty much nothing. Well, some of those ideas probably came from something else, but damn, it's so awesome to know. Yeah, that's just awesome. Like the slime from Dragon Quest and everything. Jesus. All right. Okay, I think that's about everything that I've experienced I can talk about at the moment. I want to talk about. I have watched Super Dub, and I do like the dub. I'm watching with my daughter. Oh, I showed her all of Dragon Ball. Yeah, I did, and now she's 5, and I'm sure I think it's just something she likes to do with me, for sure. It's something that we'd love to do together. She does love the characters, and I've even played a couple of the games with her. Yeah, no, I got her into it, which is awesome. I think she was 2 or 3 when I showed her. I think we started with the Piccolo Junior saga, going forward from there. I don't know if I showed her all Dragon Ball yet. But we watched it up to Fortune Teller Baba saga, and then yeah. And then I watched Super with her after that. But anyway, I mean, other kid too, because I'm trying to show them the whole thing. But anyways, I digress. Sorry. For those of you who may not know, my other daughter doesn't live with me though. I see her like once a week or every other weekend. So it's harder to show her Dragon Ball than it is my younger daughter who does live with me and my partner, my wife. Anyways, sorry guys. So that's nothing about Dragon Ball, man. Show it to people you love and care about. I'm sure they'll get into it the same way you did. It's such a universally beloved series. It really is. It really, really is. My God, Toriyama, that guy, he really was a fucking genius. That guy, that legend. I shouldn't be calling him that guy. He's a fucking legend. He really is. And I definitely want to talk more about Toriyama the person at the end of this video. Definitely more so, because I discovered a lot of he was a bigger legend than I realized. I didn't know how big of a deal he was until after he passed away. I knew he was a big deal for the longest time, but he's an even bigger deal than I realized. Holy crap, that's really important. That is. Okay, so now, for fuck's sake, I can finally talk about Seed of Might, Tree of Might. Or no, Seed of Might IKS. With a K. What the hell is that? It's a group of fans that's taking Dragon Ball, the Dragon Box footage specifically, and restoring it to its proper quality, and they're taking every single dub they possibly can and inserting it into the show. So is this legal? And they're putting it on archive.org, they're putting it on nysaa. whatever. They're uploading it online for you to download and watch and enjoy. It's over terabyte big though. It's 1,000 gigabytes big or more to download and watch. But some of the stuff you can just watch online anyways. So, is this legal? I don't know for sure if it is or isn't, but they're still going strong with the project. They have a whole Twitter page and everything. They haven't made any announcements about Toei Animation shutting them down and going after them or anything. And not only that, they're using the version of the show that Toei Animation technically no longer produces. They're using the Dragon Box footage. And I know lawyer, okay, but I know when you take a product that's not being produced anymore, after a certain amount of time, once it's out of production, it's legally free reign. Legally, it's free reign. Yes, I know it's still Dragon Ball Z, the original anime, which they have the rights to, but it's a version of Dragon Ball Z they're not producing. So, that means that they basically shot themselves in the goddamn foot. Some fucking right. You're taking all these shitty versions of Dragon Ball Z, you're selling them, you're getting them out there, yet the best version got stuffed under your noses and that's being produced in better quality online for us to enjoy for free. Serves you fucking right, Toei Animation. Serves you fucking right. And Funimation too, but goddamn. Seriously, they should not... Dragon Ball should be public domain. 100%. The anime, 120,000% should be public domain. I fucking shit you now. I wish it was. If the Dragon Balls were real, I would wish for Toriyama back, and I wish for that, and I wish for my wife to be in better health. I would wish for those three things. I would wish for Dragon Ball to be public domain. Because it should be. 100%. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. The parent companies are doing that anime misjustice. And I don't mean the manga. Okay, the manga maybe. That includes the manga for sure. But, you know, I'm okay with Toei Animation making money off it. I'm okay with them still using it. But outside of that, like how Mickey Mouse with Disney and Steamboat Willie and Pooh Bear, yes, Dragon Ball should 100%, 100. The anime, the Toei Animation animated show, the cartoon, the original 90s cartoon specifically. Anything past Kai, have it. I don't care. But the original 90s show that a generation of people love and know should 100,000% be public domain. It should be in Japan and here in the States. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. I don't know if there's a way to fight for that, but I don't know. I should look into that because it should be. It should be. So, yeah, that's the way I personally enjoy the show. I do have the show legally right here, but I can't watch those DVDs anymore because they're too expensive. So I made my own archive DVDs of the show. I basically took the Dragon Boxes and I did what I needed to. So I can watch the show however I want to now, which is great. So, yeah. There's that for you. I think that's pretty much everything I want to talk about. I do enjoy the modern Dragon Ball Z games. When Dragon Ball FighterZ came out, I was excited to play it. My wife surprised me. At the time, she was my girlfriend. She took me out to eat at New Nielsen Company, which was right by GameStop. And she said, I got you something. I think it was around Valentine's Day. I think it was a Valentine's Day gift. And she got me Dragon Ball FighterZ with the little Super Saiyan Blue Goku toy. And that was an awesome moment. I'll never forget that. That was so cool for her. I still had that copy. Of course I still have that copy. I'm not going to sell it. I still like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but I haven't played it as much as back in its heyday. And I personally really like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That is another way I highly recommend you guys getting into the story. That's probably the third best way to enjoy the Dragon Ball story, is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. If you can watch the original anime, the IKS version, the Seed and Might version, I would do it. That's the second best version. The first best is definitely the manga. That's second best. And the third best way to experience the story is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It is a good version of Dragon Ball Z overall. It touches under Dragon Ball 2 a bit, and it does touch on... Oh yeah, I forgot. There's like little pictures that like explains the story for you. And it does... Its DLC is so goddamn good. Gameplay-wise, it's not the best Dragon Ball Z video game ever made or anything like that, but it is a decent RPG video game. It is. It's at least decent. It is a little hard to get into. It's not like the most captivating game or anything like that, but it does carry the story pretty damn well, and its presentation is great. So you can play the game in Japanese or in English. I highly recommend it. I don't know what else to say. I think that's everything I gotta talk about. I love Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Krillin. They're my top 5 favorite characters. I do like 18. I do like Bulma. I really like Videl. I love Pan, the current Pan. Pan of now is a great character. I like Goten and Future Trunks is awesome too. I love, oh yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite characters, and so is Bardock. I love Frieza and Cell and Boo. They're great villains. And my favorite villain is King Piccolo. My favorite Dragon Ball villain is King Piccolo, and my favorite protagonist, main character, hero is Vegito. Yes, this is my favorite Dragon Ball character. Yes, I love Vegito. When Goku and Vegeta fuse with the Potara earrings, and it's a shame because he's not in it for very long. He only has such short screen time. We need more of him, and I really want Goku and Vegeta to learn how to fuse and defuse at will to break the time limit, so that way they don't have to be pressured into fusing, and they can defuse whenever the hell they want to. That'd be awesome. I don't know, that seems a little out of character for them, but it also doesn't. I just want to see them break that mold, break the time limit. They can fuse and defuse at will. Well, of course they have to do the technique, but then they can break out of it whenever they need to. I would love that. I also really I love Gogeta, of course I do, and I love current Broly. In Superhero, or in his movie, in the superhero movie, he's awesome. I love Super Broly. I really do. I love how much character he has. I can really relate with Broly because I'm autistic and he's basically the autistic Saiyan. But I love Broly very much, and so is Goku. They're both a lot like me, which is so is Goku. See, this is why Toriyama's like the Stan Lee of manga. All these characters are so relatable, and it feels like they're all a part of him. He basically created the most relatable anime characters of all, or manga characters of all time. That's awesome. Just like Marvel superheroes. That's so awesome. And you can't deny how great that is. I can easily relate with Krillin, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha at times, Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, Broly, yeah, basically. And a little bit of the female characters too, like Bulma, because they're human, Bulma, 18. And not Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's terrible. I'm sorry, she is. She should have been written way differently. Man, I wish Goku ended up with Sano. But that'd be a very different story, so maybe not. I just wish... Okay, no. I do like her, but I don't know if that would have worked. But I just wish Chi-Chi was just different. A little different. I don't mind her being... her being mad is not the problem. It's just she's mad a lot. And it is a problem. I just wish she was just fleshed out a bit differently. Alright, guys. My Karen Bear is about to die, so... That was it, guys. That was my Dragon Ball story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry the video was so giant and long, but if you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this to the end. And until we meet again, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one and take care. Goodbye, peace out. And thank you for watching to the very end. Toriyama. God damn it. Okay, so I'm not done yet. Let me talk about Toriyama first. I'm going to take another break. I'll come back and talk about Toriyama. Here we go. Okay, guys, so... I don't think there's anything else I need to go over with my own personal story of Dragon Ball as a franchise. I obviously looked up information on websites, the Dragon Ball Wiki and Kanzenshu.net, which are two fantastic Dragon Ball websites. I obviously played more Dragon Ball Z games, like I said, Vegeta Blast 2, Burst Limit, the other Tenkaichi series. I watch more of the Dragon Ball shows, like Super, GT, Dragon Ball, Kai, all of them pretty much, all the way through. Well, for Kai, I stopped after the Gohan Cell stuff. I watched snippets of the Buu Saga, but again, that crap 16:9, I just can't do it. Just now, before I filmed this, I was trying to watch Seinfeld on Netflix, and I didn't know, and I immediately clicked in my brain it was cropped. Of course it is, and of course I had to look up research, and yeah, it is. So I can't enjoy that now. Why do companies do this to TV shows that aired in the 90s? It's so frustrating, it is. Or at least give us the option. I understand for OLED TVs I think it's a problem, but not everybody owns an OLED TV. Just give us the option, like what Disney did with The Simpsons. That was smart. If you want to watch it widescreen, it's there. If you want to watch it in the original aspect ratio, it's there too. That's what they should do with Dragon Ball Z and every other show ever. And in the world that came out in the 90s. If you want that option, you can have it. But you can also do it with your own TV remote. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay. So I think I covered my entire story. Oh, and of course I collected the figures. Yes. That's a lot of fun. The Tamashii Nations and Dragon Stars figures are great. I love them. But the Tamashii Nations figures, depends what you get, are inexpensive.
or no, are really expensive. Like, they'll put a hole through your wall like the Dragon boxes will. Depends on which ones you get though, because a lot of them have to be reproduced. I'm not sure what else to talk about. I think I covered everything. I think so. Except, okay, so I guess I could talk about some of my favorite characters and sagas. My favorite sagas for sure are the King Piccolo, Namekian, and Cell saga. Absolutely. And Piccolo Jr. All of that stuff. Absolutely. I also love the Red Ribbon Army saga, the Fortune Teller Baba saga, because of, it all comes together with Grandpa Gohan, which is wonderful. And the Buu saga. I do love the Buu saga. And I do love most of GT and Super. I really do. But I do have my problems with every saga, except for maybe the Android and King Piccolo, and the King Piccolo, Piccolo Jr., and Android up to Cell, the whole thing saga. I really have a lot of issues with them, like barely any. The only, and Frieza as well. The only thing with Frieza is that I feel like there's a lot of Goku absence in the Frieza saga, but then again there is as well in the Namekian saga. So in the Cell saga. So it's okay. It's not that big of a deal, but. That's a lot of the story. Goku is usually not there, but he's preparing to be there, or he's dying or something. Like what I mean? Like it's completely reasonable. But why are these characters so iconic? Why are they so important? And why are they so big? Because you have someone like Goku, who was supposed to be this like bloodthirsty warrior who became the most modest, humblest martial arts master in the world. But essentially, he does, and he has to relearn everything in Dragon Ball Super, which is kind of genius because he's going through a whole new path of martial arts. A lot of fans had that issue, and somebody made a really good video about like why that's actually not an issue, because he's relearning his entire world of fighting. That's why he's like a student all over again in Dragon Ball Super versus a master. Because after meeting Beerus and Whis, a whole new world opened up for him. And that makes absolute sense. And same thing for Vegeta too. Yeah, so that's a really good point. Okay, anyways, yes, he's basically Japanese Superman, but he's also the purest hearted character ever. Like, I love Goku so much. He's not my favorite character of all time. Well, I don't know. He's up there. He's so up there. I love Luffy so much from One Piece. He is a great, amazing moment character, but Goku's great too. My favorite character I already mentioned is Vegito, but I love Goku, Gohan, Vegeta as well. Vegeta became this bloodthirsty villain of a character who is savage, who destroyed planets and killed for fun. But then you know why he's like that. He came from a horrible world where a surrogate father figure killed his actual father, destroyed his planet, and he's like the last of his kind next to Goku or Kakarot. The two last remaining sane alien warriors ever left are them, until we get to Broly later on, and other characters, and his brother, who got forgotten about, Vegeta's brother, yes. But it's whatever. Yeah, Frieza destroyed his planet, killed his father, took Vegeta under his wing, and then Vegeta changed as a person over time, being with Goku and the others, and he eventually became this amazing, man, essentially, by the Buu saga. He became a loving father and husband, and he became a defender of the Earth. And, yeah, and he also killed some Namekians that he deeply regrets that they can never come back. Now, at the time, he, laughed about it, but now he takes that sin very seriously, incredibly seriously, to the point where he actually he ends up saving the Namekians when he fights Moro in Dragon Ball Super, which is amazing. And all that happens in the manga. I should maybe read the manga for Super. I haven't yet. And there's something else I should talk about too for the manga. Something I completely forgot about. This is kind of a nice segue into Toriyama. And Gohan is great too. And, I don't know if I want to sit here and talk about the characters too much, but they are great characters. They're all wonderful, wonderful running characters. Even Piccolo and Krillin, they're all so goddamn good. They're so goddamn good. And Bulma. They're all just great characters. They all have great development. They all grow. They're all constantly growing, evolving, and changing. Even Goku is. But at their core, they're still all themselves. But they are constantly growing and changing and learning new things about life and fighting and everything. It's a wonderful one, and whatever the heck their passions are, like Bulma with engineering and stuff, and just as a person, and Krillin, they're constantly learning new experiences as their role changes. Like a lot of stories do that kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's awesome. Okay, so the Viz Media manga. Yes, I keep recommending Dragon Ball over here, but this is the Viz Media release that I own, and a lot of fans who are hardcore for the Dragon Ball manga have issues with them. And I haven't talked about this yet, For the, it's not, nothing got cropped or cut out or anything like that. No, I think there's some censorships with the dialogue. Some things are different and changed. It's not too, but honestly, to me, it's not that big of an issue because I barely even noticed it. But to some people, it might be, and that's understandable. So if that rubs you the wrong way, I think there's other physical releases. I don't know if Viz Media is the only company that does releases for Dragon Ball as the manga series. I don't know. There's a colorized version of it. I'm not sure who this is that. But that's a really good version to read. At least I think it is. And there's obviously uncensored versions online you can look up. So if that's not your fancy, there are other versions of Dragon Ball. Okay, so let's get into finally. Jesus. Sorry, I know this video is long. I don't know if I'm ever going to make a video this long ever again for Dragon Ball. Which I don't need to, because I'm getting everything off my chest now for how much I love it. Let's get into why Akira Toriyama is such a beautiful, wonderful, legendary figure. Why he's so important. He is well respected all over the world, including China, Mexico, Japan, obviously. Most Americans don't get it. Most Americans, like I talk to people that you would never know, like that, you know, like when I was in the hospital, I talked to some doctors and nurses about Toriyama dying, and they were just like, that's sad. Like they didn't really get Dragon Ball, and I was like, not even one person. Like I know these are a bunch of doctors and nurses, but like some of them, like this one dude. Knew it would, yeah, he got it, but I didn't get to talk to him about Toriyama's death. But I just kind of realized, like, and you know, other people too, like with my therapist, is I see two different therapists, one for our family, one for myself, and just like I just normal people, and some of my friends, they just don't really get it because they didn't experience Dragon Ball the same way I did, and it's the same way most of you probably watching this did. But I feel like this is something that is affected by the whole world, outside of America especially. It just kind of sucks because I'm kind of realizing in America, like some people do get it, but some people don't get it. Like it was on BBC, it was on ABC, it was announced all over the news. It was treated like it was a huge deal. It was, and you know the Mexican cartel was like done for with violence for like a while because of this. It was announced on the radio. Like sports teams paid tribute to Goku and Toriyama. Like all of South America or Brazil was putting their arms up in honor for like the spirit bomb. It was a big fucking deal all over the world. It is. It still is today. The Chinese government straight up made a video about how much they respect Akira Toriyama. Wow, that's huge. And this morning, I don't remember the YouTuber's name. If I can put it, I will, or the video. But I watched this amazing video. It was called "How Akira Toriyama Changed the World or Shook the World." It's a great watch. I highly recommend it. I'll put a thumbnail of it here, maybe, or a screenshot of it here, or credit the YouTuber and everything. I'll put it in the description below. You should watch this video after you watch this. Please do, because it's such an important video to Toriyama and his work. It's bigger than just how big Dragon Ball is. It's about Toriyama himself and why he truly is a legendary god among men. He really was. No disrespect to the other mangakas that have passed away recently, or famous authors like Stan Lee and or other creators like Stan Lee or celebrities or like influencers like Stan Lee, Gene Wilder, David Bowie, of course the beloved, wonderful Robin Williams. This marks 10 years of his death, which is really sad. And the mangaka behind Yu-Gi-Oh! And Berserk, and unfortunately I don't know their names. I apologize for that. But I know their deaths were huge too. And of course, no disrespect to, like people like other actors and celebrities for Dragon Ball, like the Japanese voice actor for Bulma who passed away, and Shinsuke Kikuchi, the original composer, who passed away. No disrespect to them at all. No disrespect to them at all. Just what Toriyama did though, because Dragon Ball is probably, like I said, I don't know if it's that probably anymore. I think it straight up is the most influential property in the entire world. It really, it may not seem like it in the States, and I understand that, but look everywhere else outside of America. It's huge in Brazil. It's huge in Mexico. It's not just huge in Mexico. Dragon Ball basically is Mexico. it's literally the country. It's just boom, Dragon Ball, Mexico. Just they're one and the same. That's how big it is down there. It's just synonymous with the entire country. Yes, there's probably a few citizens who don't care for it, but it seems like it's so ingrained in their culture that you're not a true Mexican man or woman if you don't somewhat love and respect this franchise. That's how huge of a deal it is down there to them. It's that big of a deal. The Mexican cartel, out of respect, took a humongous break and leave from like doing any kind of like violence with each other or air industry or anything like that because of Toriya's death. I don't know how long it lasted. I'm not sure if it got lifted or not, but that's a huge deal. The Prime Minister of Mexico, the top of the government in Mexico, illegally aired the finale of Dragon Ball Super theatrically in the country without Toei Animation's consent. He asked for it, they said no, but he did it anyways. You guys need to understand how big of a deal that is. Mexico is Dragon Ball is Mexico. It's not just huge down there, it consumes the entire country. His influence is felt everywhere. You may not fully get it, which is okay, but also kind of disappointing. But yeah, no, it's felt everywhere. It is, and you know, like I didn't know that Cloud from Final Fantasy was inspired by Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I didn't know that Godzilla's new in the new Godzilla movie, that new form he has was inspired by Kaioken. That's awesome stuff, man. And it goes deeper than that. Like I found out the poop emoji, you text somebody, is basically the Dr. Slump face. That's just, it's like one of the same, but that's what basically created that. Which is not something super credible, but still. Toriyama's influence is a lot bigger than most people may realize. Even more so than I realize. It really is. Dr. Slump was bigger than The Simpsons in its heyday over in Japan. Let me say that to you again. Dr. Slump, before Dragon Ball was even a thing, Toriyama's first franchise, had twice the view count. Twice the view count that The Simpsons had in its heyday in 94, 93, 95. Twice that amount in Japan. In a country smaller than America. That's how Akira Toriyama became a household name. That's how he became a millionaire, essentially. Yes, he was the Matt Groening of Japan, truly, and then he became basically the Stanley of Japan after that. It's like watching The Simpsons, and then you're watching Marvel, or the DC cartoons, like Justice League. You're going from The Simpsons to Justice League. That's what it was like over Japan, from Dragon Ball, or from Dr. Slump to Dragon Ball. I hope you understand that. I hope you do. Like, basically, yes. And that's some powerful shit. That's some really powerful stuff. If you guys have never checked out Dragon Ball before and you watched this video, you heard all this stuff, first of all, thank you so much for staying to the end, even if you're a hardcore fan. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. I'm so sorry it took as long as it did. Again, you don't have to watch this whole thing all at once. Please take your time. If you did, that's awesome of you. Thank you. Or, you know, just have an honest background noise, whatever you need to do. Or doing a project or something. Or you listen to it as a podcast. I don't know. But thank you. Thank you so much. Seriously. And if you haven't checked out Dragon Ball, I beg of you, please do it. It has a pretty huge influence already in America, but it needs to be bigger. Now more so than ever before. It really does. And it's not just a simple anime. It's not very Japanesey. It's not like that. It's a very simple, versatile, well-written, easy to get into series. It is. It is. That's like saying, oh, I can't get into Star Wars because it's too spacey. It's not just about the space stuff. It's about more than that. You know, there's like the Force. There's the fantasy element to it. There is a very, you know, it's a very like Star Wars is pretty simple to get into for the most part. But I feel Dragon Ball is even more simple. Definitely, it definitely is. I mean, I showed my 3-year-old it, and she got it right away, and she loved it. She was hooked on it right away. If a 2-year-old can get if a 2-year-old can get more hooked on Dragon Ball than Star Wars, that's very telling. It's a very, but you know, Dragon Ball is pretty adult, so take that parent choice for what you will. Well, I don't give a shit. It's my kid. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, I love Dragon Ball to death. It is you know, a lot of people my age, a lot of men my age, grew up with it. And they loved it, and they still love it today. It's not something that you just outgrow. It's not that, no, Dragon Ball is definitely something that sticks with you for life. It's for anyone, all ages. It is mostly it's like an adult cartoon you can watch with your kids, kind of like The Simpsons or King of the Hill. It has a very similar approach to the cartoons like that. And it's very universal, and it's very deep, and it's very loved, and it deserves more. It really does. It deserves all the love it can still get. Toriyama, man. It's always Dr. Slump, though. Dr. Slump, man, is in the same comedy level as The Simpsons and Futurama. Dr. Slump, unfortunately, as an anime, as a cartoon, for the most part, is not dubbed. It is in Japanese only. But I recommend reading it or watching it subbed anyways, because it's so fun. It's so good. I just started it, but so ingenious. I think only episode 2 or 3, but I love it. I might watch more tonight, because it's just so goddamn good. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. I highly, highly appreciate it. I highly do. Thank you so much for listening to my Dragon Ball Z story. I hopefully inspired somebody else out there watching this to do something similar. You don't have to make a giant therapy like I did, man, but if you do, good for you. Please share your story in the comments. Please make a response video or a video of your own if you like. I would absolutely watch it and listen to it and be endeared by it if I did the same for you. Okay, guys, until we meet again, for real this time. Until we meet again, sayonara, peace out. I'll see y'all next time. This is Hazuki Warrior 921. Thanking you once again from the bottom of my heart for watching a very important video to me. Have a good one and take care. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Till we meet again. Alright.